You should be Secretary of Tourism, in the future when you've retired from the Senate.
Lousy job po, lousy job.
Lousy job. I went through that. As Secretary Romulo, if she has a lousy job, I think she loves it. All right. Are there any other senators present?
Si Sherwin kanina, no?
Sino ba Secretary natin doon?
Hi, Nancy.
Claire, are you there? Claire? Charlene?
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, never mind the presences. Let's go ahead and move forward. Yes, Charlene. I'm running to stay in place,
So
Sa
the
dami ng
senators
trabaho ko, I'm
present are
running to stay in place. I think my good friend Senator Marcos knows where I'm at right now. I'm between heaven and hell, and I'm happy. Although the work keeps piling up. Charlene, do you have any other senators present? If not,
yes,
go ahead.
Mr.
I will
Chairman,
not wait
Senator
for
Marcos, Senator Gatchalian, and Senator Binay.
Senator Gatchalian is there, and Senator
Yes.
Binay.
Probably. Oh, there we go.
Yes.
Welcome,
Present.
Senator Binay. Welcome, Senator Gatchalian. Senator Win, are you there? Or I'll call Joel Villanueva.
I'm here, Chairman. I'm here.
Okay, good.
Joel is
Just
here.
kidding. Just kidding. Thank you for attending the meeting. All right. This is a very crucial meeting at our country's history because tourism, as you all know, is the principal engine of growth. I authored this bill and we wanted to make sure that tourism gets the support that the government should be giving it because ito ang pinakamadaling magawa ng ating bansa. Ito ang pinakamadaling trabaho na talagang natural ang Pilipino. If you will recall, when I was Secretary of Tourism, I used to have a track, assure, and make sure that we're able to, generate the necessary capability to make sure that we can develop tourism for our people. That's what it's all for. And remember, where tourism advances, poverty retreats. That's what one of my slogans at that time. And therefore, try to remember that those are the fundamental principles. That we must make sure that we have we have to protect our natural endowments. I'm doing this extemporaneously, as you can see. I can do this in my sleep. You can protect the environment. You can make sure that you are able to preserve the environment and make sure that you can profit from the environment. So we are all natural. I'm sure all my fellow senators agree with that statement. We're all natural as a tourism destination. And so without much ado, I'd like to have the secretary make the presentation, please. I have another set of departments that I have to handle this afternoon. Tomorrow, I have the dreaded Blue Ribbon Committee meeting.
Yes. Thank you, Senator Gordon. Honorable members of the Senate, good afternoon. On behalf of all the DOT officials and staff, we would like to express our sincere gratitude for your unwavering support to the Department of Tourism's plans and programs. The help of Congress for the industry cannot be overemphasized as we always look up to both houses for the support to our budget, policies, programs, and opportunities to further develop our sector. Without a doubt, tourism has been one of the hardest hit industries by this pandemic. According to the United Nations World Tourism Organization, global tourism in 2020 suffered its worst year on record, with international arrivals declining by a staggering 73%, which translates to approximately 1 billion fewer arrivals compared to the previous year. Despite the challenges and limitations in both 2020 and 2021, the DOT has been relentless in its efforts to keep the
Pardon
tourism.
me.
Yes,
Do you have a
yes.
slide to show that? We usually have a slide in the
Yes,
Department
we
of
have.
Tourism to show the overview of the international business of tourism. Do we have
Yes,
that?
we do. I think we were supposed to have that slide. Showing the
Alan Canisal used to be able to do that very well.
yes.
And maybe you should introduce first. Pardon me, you should introduce the folks at the tourism department.
Oh, okay.
Because them are new to me.
Okay.
The undersecretaries.
Yes. Let me look for them.
Mr. Enrile, are you there?
Yes.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon, sir,
Can you
Senator.
raise your hand so I can see you, please?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Enrile. Go ahead, Secretary.
Yeah, okay. Should I introduce, Senator, all the
Yeah, please, go ahead. Go ahead.
ex-City members? Yeah.
You know, you
Okay, we
people
have
are
Yusek
excited.
Edwin Enrile. We also have right now COO of the Tourism Promotions Board, Antoinette
I'm
Velasco
sorry.
Leones.
When your name is called, kindly raise your hand and say your name para makikita ko because I have to take a look at it. And tell
Good
me
afternoon, sir.
which
Antoinette.
CUSEC are you with? What is your position? Go ahead.
Good afternoon, sir. Antoinette Velasco Aliones po of the Tourism Promotions Board.
You're the TPB. You
Yes.
replaced, who did you replace? Venus Tan?
Venus,
Yes.
sir. Apo.
Yeah, Venus. I thought you were from Mars. All right. Okay, go ahead.
And then we have with us, okay, I'll go per row. We have Vico Angela of the Duty Free.
I cannot see him. Mr. Angala.
Raise your hand.
Sir, good afternoon, sir. COO Vico Angala, Duty Free Philippines
Vico,
Corporation.
I can see you now. Okay, thank you, Vico. Go ahead.
Yes. We have ASEC Howard Oiking.
Afternoon,
Howard
Senator.
Uy King. Where are you?
Oiking.
Afternoon, Senator.
Uy, nandiyan ka pala, Mr. King. Okay, thank you. Go ahead.
Yes. We have Acting Secretary Chris Morales.
Chris
Morales.
Good
Morales.
afternoon, sir. OIC ASEC for operations, sir.
Yes.
It's a nice beard you have, Chris. Go ahead.
And then we have Yusek Myra.
Or Arab.
Yusek Myra Paz.
Huh?
Buenas
Abubakar.
tardes, Senator and everybody else. Good afternoon to each and everyone. Assalamualaikum.
Paz Valderosa. You are
Abubakar,
Yusef
Senator
Forward.
Gordon.
Assalamualaikum. Mayra Paz
Waalaikumsalam,
Valderosa.
Senator po.
Yeah. Bagay na bagay yung pangalan mo sa Assalamualaikum. Paz, which means peace.
Peace. Yes,
Yeah,
Senator.
okay, peace be with you. Okay, who's next?
We have ASEC Rica Bueno.
Asek Lisa Bueno. Do
Good
you have
afternoon,
a voice?
Senator.
There
Good
you go.
afternoon, Secretary.
Asek Maria Rica Bueno.
Yes, sir.
Which ASEC are you handling? Which
TRCRG.
portfolio?
Yes, sir. Particularly on human capital development, sir.
Human capital development.
Trainings po.
And of course, you try to avoid human trafficking because that's a
Yes, sir.
curse upon tourism, right?
Yes, sir. We're very active po sa IACAT, the DOT.
I know, you should be. Go ahead.
Yes, we have Acting USEC Verna Buensuceso.
Verna Buensuceso. Are you related to Ambassador Buensuceso? Where are you, Verna?
Hi, sir.
Verna,
Well,
please
our
raise your
families
hand.
are related through my husband, sir.
Oh, Verna, I've not forgotten you. You're still around. Thank you. You've not changed except for the glasses. They're bigger. Okay. Good success to you, Verna. That's your husband pala? You're related to Buensuceso is the brother of the ambassador?
Our families are both from Bataan, sir.
Bataan. Okay, good. So marami kayong mga anak eh. Tiga Bataan kayo eh. Di ba? Okay, go ahead. Sige, next.
Thank you, sir.
And then we have USEC Robbie
Make
Alabado.
light of it para di tayo tense. Ako tense na eh. Go ahead. Go ahead, please.
We
Berna?
have USEC Robbie Alabado.
Yes, good afternoon, Senator. Good afternoon, Secretary.
You have to forgive me, I cannot see you. What's your name again? Robert
Robbie
Alabado.
Alabado po.
They call you Bob? Bob 3?
Robbie na lang po, Robbie.
Robbie. Oy, pinabago, pinaganda pa. Robbie. Sige.
Roberto po.
Robbie. Sige, thank you. Anong hawak mo? You said? You
Right
said
now,
for what? Special concerns or what?
Yeah.
special concerns po.
Oh, di ba? I can read your mind. Oh, wala na yun lang. Special concerns lang. Yung ordinary concerns, wala.
Actually po, ang hawak ko po ngayon is yung health and wellness po. It's a very interesting program right
Can you
now.
come closer to the microphone so I can understand you and speak with authority and firmness? Go ahead.
Yes, good afternoon, Senator. I'm now looking at the health and wellness sectors.
Oh, great.
It's a very exciting.
Yung mga San Benito, no? San Juanito,
Yes, po.
San Benito, di ba? Ganun? Oh, sige.
Yes. Yes po.
Okay,
Yes.
sige.
We have Administrator Guillier Acidoff Intramuros.
Guillermo is very famous to me. He's a good man. He's working very well.
Very good man.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair.
Hi, Guillermo. We've known each other for a long time, and I'm proud of you. Go ahead.
Thank you,
Next,
sir.
please.
Yeah, we have Executive Director Cecil Lorenzana Romero of the National Parks Development Corporation.
Cecile Lorenzana Romero, where are you?
Hello, good
Cecile.
afternoon, Senator.
Cecile, where are you? Raise your hand, please. I can see you. And push the
Hello,
button. Oh, yeah. There you go, Cecile.
Yes, good afternoon, Senators.
Yes, how long have you occupied this? Are you new or 2 years? 2 years?
Uh, 2 years,
2
Senator
years.
Gordon.
Right. Okay, sige. Quite right. Go ahead. Next.
We also have with us Executive Director Jerty Duran Batocabe.
Sorry, sino yan?
Jerty Batocabe.
Jersey.
Jerty Duran Batocabe. Gertrudes
Where are you? Please show
Batocabe.
yourself. Jersey?
Mm.
You don't have to wear a jersey. Just show yourself.
Senator, if you probably know her late
Hi,
husband.
good afternoon.
Her late husband was Congressman Rodel Batocabe.
The one from Bicol, no?
Yes,
Art
from
Chicks?
Bicol.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
ako
Yes,
Bicol.
sir.
Yes.
You the widow or?
Widow. Yeah, she's
I
the
really
widow.
am sorry about that. I spoke very strongly against the killers of your husband. And have you found the killers yet? Has there been-
Yes, sir. Still out on bail,
Excuse me, Gertie. Sorry.
sadly. Out on bail po.
Hindi pa
They're
nahuli.
still out on bail po.
Out on bail. So nahuli.
Nahuli na, but
Sige.
yes po.
That's thirdly
Yes.
crime
Out
that
on bail.
must never
So
be
sad.
forgotten. Thank you. Go ahead, please.
We have acting OIC USEC Ray Ching. I think you know him, Senator. Ray
Sorry?
Ching.
Who are
Ray
you?
Ching.
Mr. Chairman.
Uh,
Reynaldo Ching. Asik Reynaldo Ching, sir.
Ronaldo
OIC,
Ching.
Office of the
There you
USIC
go.
for
Of course,
Antoinette.
Ray. Mahaba pa rin yung buhok mo hanggang ngayon. Sige. Buti
sir.
Secretary of Tourism ka na. Sige, thank you. Undersecretary ka na. Go ahead.
Yes, we have Assistant Secretary Mila Milagrosay.
Yula Milagros.
Milagrosay. Yes.
Wala sa lista. Si Mila?
Mila Say, yes.
She's Assistant Secretary?
Yes, acting, yes.
Bravo. About time. Mila.
Mm.
Where are you, Mila? I want to see your face. From the last time I saw your face to the first time I saw your face. Mila, are you there? Mila, I always call you from time to time when I was Secretary of Tourism. Mila, are you there?
Yes po, nandito po ako.
Oh,
Yes,
don't be
sir.
always staying out in the wilderness, Mila. Good to see you, Mila. Are you at home?
Yes,
Huh?
yes po, Senator.
Alright.
Yes po.
Wonderful. You have a lot of say in the Department of Tourism. Go ahead.
Then we have all our regional directors with us.
Oh, sige. I'd love to
Yes.
see them. Go ahead. Regional,
Okay,
Region 1?
For
Kabayan
Region
ng
1,
Ilocos, Slovakia?
yes, we have Jeff Ortega.
You're related to the La Union Ortegas? Yes, are you there?
Yes po, Mr. Chair. Good afternoon po. Sir.
Yeah, you look like an Ortega, all right? Go ahead. I was just talking to
Yes.
your uncle, Vic Ortega, last night.
Yes po,
We're at the funeral week. Go ahead.
He's the youngest brother of Governor Pacoy.
Of who?
He's the youngest brother of the governor.
Yes.
Yes.
Go ahead.
We have Region 2, Fanny Beth.
Who's this?
Good afternoon, Mr.
Beth.
Senator.
Yeah,
Good
Fanny Beth
afternoon,
Domingo.
Secretary.
You know?
Region 2, Fanny Beth Domingo.
Fanny Domingo, you're Vizcaya and Cagayan. You replaced
Batanes,
Diwa.
Isabela po, Senator. Good
Replaced
afternoon
Diwa.
po.
You know, we were there for Rolly and we took out all the mud on the peanut farm so that they can plant again. And they were
Yes,
able to
Mr.
recover. You're
Senator.
aware of
Thank
that,
you
right?
so much.
Thank you. You're welcome.
For Region 3, we have Carolina Uy.
Carolina Uy. You're not
Good
related to
afternoon,
Mr. Uy
Senator.
King. Carolina Uy Queen.
Senator Carol here, RD Region 3.
Are you from Region 3 originally, Carol?
Yes, Senator, I'm from Nueva Ecija, the province of
Great. Wonderful. Agricultural country. Go ahead. Next, please.
For Calabarzon, we have RD Mike Angara Palispis.
Calabarzon. Where are you? Where's Calabarzon?
Mm.
What's the name?
RD Mike Angara Palispis.
Mark Angara, you don't happen to be related to a certain Angara in the Senate, are you? Is he? Is he?
Yes, he
So
is.
that's why he thinks he cannot show up here? Ganun ba yan?
No, he's probably the signal, but he's here, Senator.
Anak ba ni Kwan yan? Anak ni Congresswoman Angara?
No, not the son.
Not related to the Angaras?
He's related, but he's I'm not sure how he's related, but he's from Baler, Aurora also.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, the hometown of President Quezon.
Yes.
That's right. Well, can you ask him to show up so we can see him? So
Yes.
in the future we can
Please.
see him also. Next, please.
I'm sorry,
Go
we
ahead.
have pala Mark Lapid with us. Of Tiesa, Mark Lapid.
Good afternoon po,
Another relation of another famous senator here. Okay, Mark. Yes. Former governor of Pampanga.
Good afternoon po sa DOT
Okay,
Traffic.
good.
Good afternoon, Sen.
Hi, Mark. Good. Sige.
Yes.
Thank you. Who's next?
For region 5, we have with us Regional Director Herbie Aguas.
Maray na hapon po, Herbie Aguas po, Bicol Region.
Herbie, das maray na hapon sa Indo Nagabos.
Yes po.
Your name is Aguas. Are you related to the former registrar of the Ateneo?
Marami nagtatanong po, pero mukhang distant relative na po.
You better be smart because she's smart as a whip.
Yeah. Yes daw po.
And you wash your hands every day because of the pandemic, right?
Yes po. Yes po.
Good. It's a good reminder. Good. Next, please.
For Region 6, we have RD Christine Mancinares.
Region 6.
Senator, good afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone.
I'm sorry, I cannot see you. Where are you? Yes.
Senator, good afternoon.
There you go. They keep going on, up and down. Tin Mancinares. Yes. Where are you from? Leyte, Samar?
Negros Occidental, Senator.
Sa kabila nga pala, no? Sorry. Negros Occidental. All right. Go ahead.
For Region 7, we have Shalimar Tamano.
Shalimar.
Good afternoon, Senator. Good
Where are
afternoon,
you?
Secretary.
Shalimar. Is that a man or a woman?
A man.
I didn't know they called men Shalimar. I can't see you. Show your face, please. Push the button. Push video.
Yes, sir.
Where are you? Shalimar Hofer, and you're not related to the Congressman Hofer in Zamboanga del Norte, or was it right?
He's my first cousin, Senator.
First cousin. All right. Okay.
Sanhofer.
Why did they call you Shalimar? Shalimar is a woman's name.
My mom's name is Marlene and my father Salibada. Pinagdugtong kaya Shali and Mar.
That you were not a woman trapped in a man's body.
For litigation.
No, sir.
Okay, good. Thank you. Next, please.
For Region 8, we have RD Karen Chopez.
Maupay nga kulop, Senator, from Tacloban City po.
There you go.
Yes po.
Ginawang bahay sa inyo. 30,000 na bahay ang ginawa namin ng request dyan
Maraming salamat po. Actually, I was one of those na hinanap nyo during Yolanda. Kasi
That's right. That's right. That's right. I was looking for you. Yeah, that's right. Thank you. Now I remember. Thank you, Rosa. Thank you.
Yes po. Thank you po. Yes po.
For Region 10, we have RD King. RD King.
Region 9, is it?
Region 9, who's our OIC again? For Region 9?
OIC Wens Galeza. Wens Galeza, OIC.
Wens Galeza.
For Region 9.
I'm here, Mr. Senator.
Where are you? Where are
Waving my hand.
Wenceslao. Wens ang pangalan mo. Wens Galesa.
Wenceslao Galesa, Mr. Senator.
Yeah, and they call you Wens.
Opo.
Wens. Okay. All right.
For Region 10, we have RD May Salvania Unchuan.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, Madam Secretary.
May Unchuan. That's right. Yeah. And then May. Go ahead.
For Region 11, we have RD Tanya Rabatan. Afternoon,
RG?
Senator.
Where? I don't see her, Secretary. Where is she?
RD Tanya.
Yes.
Yes.
Where
Good
are you?
afternoon, Senator.
Ako, sige. Tanya Tan.
Yeah, Tanya Rabatan, yes.
Rabat. Are you a Rabat?
Yes po, Senator.
You're the daughter of
The late Mayor
Paquito? Or the
Opo,
Paquito Rabat? Huh?
Opo, the late Mayor Luis Rabat, the younger brother of Paking.
Yes, yes. You know, Paquito Rabat or Paquito Rabat, as we called him at the Ateneo. I was in grade school. He was already playing for the Ateneo Blue Eagles. All right?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah. Good. Okay, next please.
Yes. Region 12 is also currently being handled by RD Shalimar.
Sorry?
Region 12 is also currently handling by Shalimar Tamano because our region went on leave. The OIC went on leave. So it's now
Shalimar.
under Shalimar also.
Tamano. Are you related to Senator Tamano, Mike Tamano?
Distant senator.
Yeah, okay. Anything else?
I think Yusek Edwin, have I mentioned everybody?
We have 17 regions, di ba?
Oh, I'm sorry, NCR. I'm sorry, NCR. I'm so sorry. Okay, NCR, we have RD Woodrow Makiling. I'm
Good
so
afternoon,
sorry.
Sec. Good afternoon,
I'm so sorry,
Mr. Senator.
RDRR.
Makiling.
Don't worry.
Jr.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
That's
Good
a nice
afternoon, sir.
name. Were you named after President Wilson?
Yes, sir. U.S. President Woodrow Wilson, sir.
Yeah, okay. What do you know about him?
He's the father of public administration.
What?
He's the father of public administration, sir.
Really? Why? I didn't know that. Educate
Yeah,
me.
well, based on my readings, Mr. Senator, he started to
Di ba he was
revolutionize.
the one who made the 14 points after World War I, wanted to create the League of Nations?
Yes, it should.
Even if you do not know, just answer yes. So better to
Yes,
show,
sir.
better to keep quiet if you do not know nothing than to leave no doubt when you see something.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Okay, next
Thank you,
please.
Mr. Senator.
Yes, Senator, we have for the car, RD Jovi Ganongan.
Good afternoon,
Sorry,
Senator. Good afternoon, Madam Secretary.
Sino?
From Cordillera Administrative Region po.
Yes.
Cavite.
Ganongan, Mr. Senator.
Anong region ka, Iha?
Car.
Cordillera. Oh, my favorite. Very honest people. Very, very steep in cultural values. Di ba?
Thank you, Mr. Senator. Yes, indeed.
Yeah. Are you a Kaganay or are you a native or what?
Kalinga, Mr. Senator.
You're not indigenous.
She is.
Huh?
Kalinga.
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 Yeah, right. Okay,
Yes.
great. Okay.
Yes. We have Director Wen Sorioso of the PCSSD.
I'm asking you all these questions so that I will know because I'd like to know what's happening in the regions. Which region is this now?
I think I mentioned RD Region 13, RD King Arena. She's there. She's walking.
Region 13?
Yes.
Are you there?
RD King.
Good afternoon, Senator. Good afternoon, Sec. Nelia Arena from Region 13.
Are you from there? What province are you from?
I'm from Butuan City, Senator.
Butuan, all
from
right.
the capital of...
Do you still have lolongs there?
hindi pa po nahanap yung mga kapatid ni Lolong, Senator.
Marami dito sa Manila, lumagapang. All right, go ahead.
We have GM Bienvenido Chi of the PRA.
Bienvenido.
General Manager
Chi.
of the
Chai or Chi?
Chi.
Good afternoon, Honorable Chairman.
Yes, I
Attorney
saw you last year.
Bienvenido Chi, General Manager of the Philippine Retirement Authority.
So you are. Next, please.
I think I've mentioned everybody already, Mr. Senator.
Who's in charge of scuba diving now?
Director Wen Sorioso.
So you have not mentioned everybody, have you?
I mentioned earlier, but okay, Director Wen?
Good afternoon, Mr. Senator and Secretary.
Can you show your face, please? Noena Storioso. How's scuba diving? Is it picking up?
Slowly but surely
Watch our
picking up.
water world. Wow, Philippines. Watch our water world. Okay?
Yes, sir.
And who's in charge of Corregidor?
It's not under the Department of Tourism.
Oh, really?
Corridor.
I
Yeah,
thought it
it's
was.
not. It's not
I was
under
there. It was
us.
under me.
It's not an
At this
attached
point, we're an
agency.
attached agency. Who's got it now?
It's
Berna?
with Cynthia Carion, but I think that they're with the OP, Office of the President, not with the Department of Tourism.
Really?
Yes.
Such a shame because that's a national shrine. Anybody else?
I think that's all, Senator.
Yeah. Okay. Can you show now? You have that time to show what is the world situation, please?
Can we show the slide, please?
And we'd like to get a copy of the PowerPoint.
Yes.
Can you email it to us right away, please?
Yes, Mr. Senator.
Huh?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yes, according to the United Nations World Tourism Organization, global tourism in 2020 suffered its worst year on record, with international arrivals declining by a staggering 72.9% or 73%, which translates to approximately 1 billion fewer arrivals compared to the previous year. Do we have
Fewer arrivals?
Yes.
And the total before was what? I thought it was 8 billion already. People, no, not 8 billion, but how many people traveling before? I think during my time it was about how many arrivals? About 2 billion before, was it?
Do we have that?
On its side, there you go. 5 billion. Oh, that's tourism arrivals. We're talking about the world. And where do they go? Do they go to Southeast Asia? Do they go to Asia? Which is the number one tourist destination in the world today?
Would we have that Yusek Verna?
Who's in charge of foreign Bureau of Foreign?
It's Yusek Verna.
Secretary, Spain is the number one for now.
Sorry?
Mr. Senator, Spain is the number one.
It has always been number
destination.
one. Diba? Second is France, is it?
France is the second.
It's the other way around, baliktad. For the latest data, it's actually France, thereafter Spain, then the US, and thereafter China.
I just wanted to know if they know what their market is. It's about to say they interchange between France and the US and Spain.
Yes, that's right. Yes, Mr. Chairman, tama po kayo.
Verna, France, Spain, US,
Yes po.
and China?
Yes po.
Okay. All right. And what goes to Asia and the Pacific? Or Southeast Asia? That's really making it a little bit more. How many people went to, if you include Asia, that would be just our part of Asia?
Thailand lang ang pumapasok sa top 10 destinations.
Yes.
See, I told you.
It's Thailand.
Mr. Marcos, you can be Secretary of Tourism.
Well, it's just general knowledge. Po.
Can you let them answer?
I'm just an investor.
I really want to know whether our people here know their market. It's important to me because I always look at the overview. All right.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Just out of curiosity, kasi usually pag may budget hearing, Yusek Bong is always present, but I don't see him now.
He retired already?
Who's it?
He retired already.
Yusek Bong.
35, yeah. Yusek Bong Bengzon.
Oh, Benson retired? Oh my
He
goodness.
retired already, 35 years in service.
Where did he go now? Where is he now?
We're not sure. I think now he represents the Philippine Hotel Owners Association.
Which association is that? Sorry.
FOA, Philippine Hotel Owners Association.
Hotel owners. Okay,
Yes.
so he'll be the beneficiary of whatever money the tourism department can provide. All right. Good point, Nancy.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Senator Nancy.
Tama,
Senator
Nance.
Nancy is the
Oo
chair
nga,
for the
absent.
Committee on Tourism, so she knows what she's talking about. All right. Now,
Memory.
when we go to tourism arrivals, who's our number one tourism arrival so far? Which country? Don't tell me
Well,
China.
prior to the pandemic, it was South Korea. That was number one.
Yeah, so still Korea, I
Second,
remember.
yes.
Yeah.
Second is China. Number 3 is the USA. 4 is Japan.
Japan.
Yeah. 5th is Yusek Verna, is it Taiwan or who's the 5th again? Yusek Verna?
Sorry.
Australia.
Australia. I'm sorry.
Australia,
Australia. I'm sorry.
Right, okay.
Yes.
And of course, this has always been the perennial folks. And largely because, I'm sure Senator Marcos will have something to say here, largely because we're counting also our former Filipinos who probably have dual citizenship now, and they're counted as Americans. They're counted in South Korea, of course, there are very few Filipino Koreans, but so number one would really be in terms of Filipino Americans would be USA, correct?
Yes.
Have you ever split that to Filipino Americans of Filipino ancestry?
Yusek Verna, we've been wanting to know, but mostly it's really balikbayans who come here. Do we have a study whether it's Americans or balikbayans?
Normally, Mr. Chair, it's depends on the
You
passport
know me
that they
for a
hold
long
when
time.
they
I don't want to be called Mr. Chair. I don't have a wooden heart. I
Sorry,
am a
Mr.
man.
Senator.
All right. Thank you.
What we have are basically based on passports. So this is how we are able to look. We do not have the data on former Filipinos, although we also check with other agencies on.
Do you remember our tourism partnership program, our tourism volunteer program, where we asked Filipinos or Americans of Filipino ancestry could bring home a tourist? So we have to find out who they are, wouldn't we? And that's a simple matter of checking in the tourism arrival whether they're of Filipino ancestry. Would that be fair,
Mr. Chair.
Verna?
I'm sorry. Yes, Mr. Senator.
Verna V and Verna B.
Yes, Mr. Senator.
I think you should try and make that happen because, especially during these times of hardships, we can always rely on the ever reliable balikbayan, especially when, for example, their relatives pass on, they come over. When they're sick, they come on, they come down, right? And how do we count the OFWs? Are they counted separately?
They're not counted as tourists, Mr.
They're
Senator.
not counted as tourists.
They're not.
All right, okay. But I think there should be a separate spot for them because they could also bring friends where they work, right? Like the nurses in Britain or the nurses in Germany, they could bring German friends, right? Or British friends. And I know that for a fact. So it's always good to have that. Would you accept that suggestion, Verna? Verna Suceso?
Yes.
Mr. Senator, we accept your suggestion.
Yeah, thank you. All right. Now, having said that, I will go right to the chase. I don't want to keep you here for a long time. You know, numbers are numbers. What are we doing to attract tourists today? Because Singapore and Thailand hasn't seemed to miss a beat. They still have their tourists. How many arrivals in Thailand? How many arrivals in Singapore? Of course, Singapore kind of, it's it's what we call a hub, and people pass by overnight and they count them as tourists. But Thailand, certainly, how many tourists does Thailand get? International.
Right now for 2021, it's only Phuket that's open in Thailand for tourists. The other places in Thailand are not yet open.
Yeah, but how many do they arrive? How many do they get in terms of?
Right now, prior to the pandemic, this is.
Yes, I'm listening. How many arrivals from
Yusek
the
Verna,
world
prior
in
to the
Thailand?
prior to the pandemic, but this is actually 2020.
Mr. Chair, on the slide, You
Mr.
will
Chairman,
see
to you, please.
Thailand
Thank
here.
you.
Sorry.
Mr.
Can I,
Chairman, please.
may I be heard? Mr. Senator, for Thailand, in 2019, Thailand received about 39.92 million tourists.
39.9. And how many are they getting now?
In 2020, we have the figure 2020, it's 6.7 million.
How many?
6.7 million.
6.7. And how many
Yes.
arrived in the Philippines of late?
For 2020, we only counted 1.4 million because we still have travel restrictions. So far, only balikbayans are allowed to come.
We don't allow foreign tourists to come in?
Not yet. Not yet, Mr. Chair.
I see a lot of them in Siargao.
No, they stayed here. They never left.
Sorry?
They never left. They were here pre-pandemic.
So you have how many in the Philippines and you call the account? See, you count them as balikbayan.
If you count January and Feb, January of 2020 to Feb before the lockdown, we had about 1.4 million tourists.
So the lockdowns have really hurt us. And how come Singapore seems to have gotten their way?
Singapore is not yet open for tourists, Mr. Chair.
I don't think so. I think they have. I saw
They
some.
have a quarantine of 2 weeks, but they're open, especially to Hong Kong and other green-lit countries. They just had a temporary lockdown. Pero bukas na
Temporary
sila,
lang.
and they're collaborating with Hong Kong for no quarantine at all.
Yeah. What do you say about that, Secretary Verna?
Well, right now, it's really Phuket that's accepting fully vaccinated because they are already fully vaccinated. Well, in Singapore, not, Yusek Verna, let's get for Singapore.
For Singapore, Madam Secretary, basically they have green corridors, but they do not really accept leisure travelers per se. They're based on the green corridors that they have with countries.
They're based on what?
Green corridors, travel bubbles.
Yeah, the countries that they've green-lit, like Hong Kong and Australia earlier, previous to the breakout, and New Zealand, places like that.
So they accept them, right?
The Australia and New Zealand are still not operational.
They were temporarily removed kasi nga nagka-breakout.
America accepts this.
I'm sorry, is it all right to ask about the branding budget since we're already talking about international tourism?
You can ask any question. I'm just trying to find out what the overview is. If you'll pardon me, I'm trying to show what the overview is so that we can ask the right questions.
Okay.
And if you let me finish, if I'll say it right now.
Thank you,
What about domestic tourism? Are we allowing domestics to travel to Boracay? I know that you're already vaccinating them before they go to Boracay. Is that correct?
Yes, Mr. Chair. 73% of the tourism workers in Boracay are already vaccinated.
All right.
So,
and how many have arrived in Boracay? Do you have a count? Who's domestic tourism? I only cited international tourism, but you know, in my heart, Verna knows this. In my heart, I've always aimed for the domestic tourism. That's why we did Wow Philippines, to let the Filipino travel to our own destinations, because at that time we didn't even know what was in other provinces, and there's a plethora of that. We got people to know what was in Lawag, what was in Pagudpud. We got people to know what was in Bigan, because they brought it here. Where to stay in Bigan, where to stay in Iloilo. We got everybody to know that, and that's when they started traveling. And then Cebu Pacific caught on, and they finally had a lot of promos for domestic tourism. Isn't that correct, Verna?
That's correct, Mr. Senator.
And we suddenly had, at last count, I don't know if Mr. Canisal is there. I'd like to ask Mike Mila Sai, how many domestic, what was the height of the domestic tourism? I think, somebody told me it was 69 million, even 89 million?
110 million.
Sorry?
110 million.
110 million. So practically the whole country traveled? And how much were the receipts?
The receipts, wait, I'll look for it. There.
You know, I don't really kowtow to figures that are thrown at me. I just want to make sure that we get something back for the buck. Do we still follow what we used to say, the tourism, how do you used to call it, Verna? Tourism account or something?
Satellite account.
Tourism
Mr.
what?
Senator. Tourism satellite account.
Yeah.
Satellite account. That's right. We used to follow that, right?
We
And
still
are we
do,
able to do
Mr.
that still?
Senator. Yes, we still use it.
So how much was the panalo sa domestic tourism at the height of 110 million?
It was at 3.14 trillion pesos.
3.1 trillion.
Yes, in
And what is the budget
2019.
today, Senator Marcos?
Kayo talaga.
Oh, no. Di ba? Magkano ang budget natin ngayon?
Can you flash, Asikawi?
What percent of the budget does tourism get of the 5 trillion budget? Which is really break the record amount.
It's 3.5 billion.
3 trillion. You mean to tell me you had 3 trillion returns from tourism? If I was president, I'd give you a lot of money right away. That's why I made it that tourism is the engine of growth. I'm not saying I'm talking about me. I'm talking about the people who will earn a lot. How many jobs did we generate out of that 3 trillion that you
Pre-pandemic, it was 5.7 million.
110 million people traveling? That should generate, there were statistics before. For every million pesos, how many, for our budget, you should divide the budget of tourism divided by the 110 trillion, and that should be what you get, right, Verna?
Yes. So pre-pandemic, we employed 5.7 million.
5.7 million to handle 110 trillion. I don't think, Secretary Berna, I'm not trying to find out what you do not know. I'm here to find out what you do know. It's important that when you say 5.7 million, then I will now ask the coup de grace question. How much are we doing to help our tourism industry people get back? Because I don't think we should remain locked up. I think we should open up places that we can corral, such as Palawan, such as, and with strict measures of protection. What are your thoughts on that?
A lot of our tourist destinations are already able to open under NGCQ. And in fact, with alert level 4, the alert level system now, we are allowed to travel from NCR to all the different tourist destinations as long as they are allowing tourists.
I have to defend the budget on the floor, right, Senator Marcos? I'd like to give this to Senator Marcos to be defended on the floor because I think she already knows more than me now. But in reality, when I go on the floor, my colleagues are going to ask me all these questions. It may seem embarrassing questions right now, but you have to teach me how to answer.
Yes, Mr. Senator.
Baka hindi maniwala sa akin na sinasabi nyo 5.7 million. Do you know what that represents in terms of income tax payments? See, that's where our tourism statistics will come from. And when you go to the cabinet, you should be able to tell your president that this is what we contribute, and therefore you should be able to tell your finance secretary and the DBM that you should be given more money. Don't you think they will be convinced?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Just to add to your question, did they do that? Did they?
Yes, we did.
Well, I'm glad that Nancy gave the answer. I was trying to be nice. Did they do that?
And what did you tell them? What did you ask DBM?
Sorry.
Oh, no, but based on we're always fighting for our budget. So what we asked for, and that was what's given to us.
I am trying to protect your budget, Secretary Romulo. I will always provide a lot of budget for the Department of Tourism, because you, as you say, make a lot of points. And if you are in the NBA, somebody making 110 million people travel, and making supposedly 3 trillion pesos should get a large portion of the budget. They would be paid they would be paid like Michael Jordan, right? You're the Michael Jordan of tourism, of the government, especially in these times where our foreign direct investment is extremely down. Yes, Senator Marcos, you had a question. You know, I always react to you when you raise your hand. Sometimes I can't give you all the time, but
I don't
go
know if
ahead.
is it timely to ask questions on the
No, it's
budget?
timely. I'm already asking you. Go ahead. Are you going to follow through the question that I just asked? I would appreciate that because we
Yes,
have to keep in point.
yes, basically, it's the same question that occurs year on year since Secretary Berna sat, and that is the hotly contested 1.5 billion used for branding. We would like to know how this was used in the past, given the rather miserable and quite horrifying figures of 2020. Of course, this has nothing to do with branding and entirely to do with the pandemic. Nevertheless, do you think that this huge amount should really be given to international marketing when we are on everyone's red alert infection list?
Yes.
But before you answer, that's why, Senator Marcos, I said, my baby has always been domestic tourism. I just want to make sure if tourism in the world has fallen, domestic tourism should not be falling. And that's what I hanged my jacket on when I was Secretary of Tourism, domestic tourism. That's
Mr.
why
Chairman.
yes, go ahead,
Then,
Senator Bilan.
just to add dun sa question ni Sen Aimee, siguro it's also good to know what is the need of the industry right now, and can the budget of DOT address those needs? Diba? So baka nga yung budget natin for international branding is better used to help the industry.
Even for domestic branding, considering that so many different levels of alert, of lockdown are still in place, domestic branding at this point seems premature and unnecessary. Shouldn't it be better endowed, as previously stated in last year's hearing by our chairman, in product development, new destinations, training in languages for tourism workers, and so on and so forth?
That's what I said last year, that you should be preparing.
That's why I'm quoting you po.
Yeah.
Have we done anything to address the realignment that seems so patently obvious to all the members of this committee?
Mr. Senator?
What is the answer?
What exactly now is the, I'm sorry, there are so many questions ongoing.
Simple question. How do you justify a 1.5 billion budget at a time when the Philippines cannot even receive tourists? We are barely welcome in any country given our rates of infection. And we are embarking on this exceedingly expensive branding campaign of 630 million for international marketing when there are hardly any international flights, branding and other supports of 705 million, country-bound brand development of 100 million. Isn't this enormous amount better dedicated to simply vaccinating tourism workers and other employed persons?
Yes, Mr. Senator?
Yes, please.
Yes. Actually, for 2021, we actually didn't get 1.4 billion. It was reduced.
Okay.
To, it was only reduced to
1.2 million naman to dati, di ba? Tapos
it was reduced to,
ngayon palaki ng palaki, naging 1.5 pa.
yes, but for 2021 it was actually reduced only to 400 million. The branding was reduced. It was reduced by 1 billion. Asik Howie, could we?
Yes, but 1 billion is still a huge sum for marketing during a time there's hardly any travel.
Mr. Senator.
Yes, please.
500, we only got 400 million from the initial 1.4 billion allocation. So 1 billion pesos was allocated to the Bayanihan too.
Yes, so 400 went to what, please?
400 million went to domestic promotions, Senator. So because
2020, we were all in lockdown. Bakit pa kayo nagba-branding? Nakakapagtaka. Yeah, I'm just
Yes,
In the
Senator.
second,
there are IATF citations also of the Department of Tourism's double standard in the enforcement of lockdowns and rules under the guise of branding and marketing. Maraming sinasabing Boracay City Gardens versus Tim Yap Party in Baguio with an alleged 8 million sponsorship given to the city, and so on and so forth, including the Vicky Bello, syempre kaibigan natin lahat yan, in Bohol, all given towards marketing and branding. Is this so?
Senator Amy, we didn't fund the Team Yap. We didn't fund that. That was not the Department of Tourism who funded the Team Yap in Baguio.
But there was in
It was not
fact through
ours.
there was in fact a sponsorship of 8 million through the LGU.
But that was not through the Department of Tourism.
But-
We were not involved in that at all.
But you should be thankful that the local government is taking the initiative, which is my next question with the permission of Senator Marcos.
Yes, of course. No, I have no problem with LGUs taking the cudgels for tourism.
Yes, I have no problem with that. And my question there is, couldn't we encourage the local populace to travel within their destination? When I go to Subic, the beaches are full during weekends.
Yes, Mr. Chair, they're now traveling by land. In fact,
eh,
in Baguio, we were the ones who donated their Visita program, their online registration system, also for Region 1, where the tourists log on there so that they can visit because all
They can
the
be what? They can be what? I'm
they
sorry.
can visit. They have this online registration system. We've been donating to all the LGUs, so that the tourists log there and they find out what are the protocols that are needed for them to be able to enter an LGU. A lot of the destinations, though pwede na magbukas for tourism, they don't want to open. So it's, at the end of the day, that's still
Secretary
the
Bruna, I
LGU
think the
call.
question is the LGUs are quite confused, but by what they consider a double standard by DOT of enforcement for IATF rules. Kasi sa Boracay City Garden, Tim Yap's party, Boracay fake tests, okay. But in other instances, the DOT has not expressed any condemnation or sanctioned any of.
Of course, we were Senator Amy, we were against the Tim Yap party. First of all, we did not fund it, and then we came out strongly against it. And every time there's a mass gathering, we are always against. We are always implementing health and safety protocols.
Pasensya, I have to ask these
because-
questions. Kasi
Yes,
hinahanap
oo,
din
but-
kami tungkol dito, no? Yung,
Correct, oo.
yung tungkol kay Scarlett Snow Bello, no face
Yes.
mask, no face shield, Vicky Bello, Bohol Travel. Hindi ko nga alam ibinigay lang to sa akin eh.
Correct.
Pasensya,
Nung
pati-
June, nung May 31,
and this is all charged to branding to the tune of 1.5 billion. Medyo masakit in a time na
hindi po 1.5 billion ang ginastos yan. In fact, they
1.5 billion for 20.
Excuse me.
Wala
Excuse
pong
me.
1.5
Will
billion.
the Secretary of Tourism please wait for the Senator to finish?
Yes, sir.
Then we
Thank
won't
you.
have an altercation in the airwaves so that we can understand one another.
Sorry,
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, for unruly behavior. I'm just
No, you're
trying
not unruly. The resource person has got to listen to the questions because this is our time to question the budget so we can help them adequately. So if I were the secretary, I would listen to the questions, and these are not criticisms, all right? Take that when you come in here, especially on budget time, these are not criticisms. These are just suggestions. And of course, sometimes you cannot help but, make some pointed remarks because if that's not being done, the Senate has the right to ask those questions and to guide you. And all I'm saying is, in the interest of the quorum, we may have a quorum, but if we do not have the quorum, it will not go anywhere. All right? Go ahead, Senator. So everybody's admonished to listen until the question is finished, and then you may answer. Go ahead.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, my good Senator Gordon. The problem is that we are all looking for funds to finance our vaccine and treatment allocations. And the stunning amount of 1.5 billion for branding becomes increasingly difficult to defend. I think this was the same issue that we encountered last year, for which we have not received sufficient explanation. In addition, over the past year, which has been tough for everyone, most especially for the DOT, I am sure, a great deal of criticism has arisen, both on social media and elsewhere, regarding the so-called branding exercises involving many personalities, but also alleged double standards and failure to enforce IATF rules and other health protocols. So in order to defend your budget, including the 1.5 billion in plenary, I think we need an explanation from the Secretary.
Yes. Miss Senator Amy.
Yes, Secretary, go
Yes.
ahead.
Yes. First of all, we did not fund the Team Yap. We were not involved at all. In fact, we gave out statements and we even issued a notice to explain to Manor regarding that incident. We were not connected to the Team Yap incident. With regard to the Scarlet Snow Bellow,
Explain to me. It's just
Yeah.
that the question keeps coming back.
Okay, but at least thank you for clarifying this, Senator Amy. I'd like to put it on record that we were not at all involved with the Team Yap incident. Now, with regard to the Scarlet Snow Bellow, May 31, the IATF already agreed that travel would be allowed for no age restrictions. Senator Gordon, Senator Amy, we're always pushing for travel with no age restrictions because Filipinos travel as a family.
Failure to
So-
use a mask, face
No,
shield, exercise
Senator Amy,
so
I can assure you that we were wearing our mask and face shield the whole time. That was only one picture with Scarlett, one picture, and we were even 1 meter apart. But all the other pictures, we were all wearing our masks and face shields. We are very
Mr. Chairman,
I'm
Yes.
so
Mr.
sorry.
Chairman.
It seems to be exceedingly controversial. Sorry. Pati yung Bohol trip, question. Bakit daw binayaran yung napakamahal na Bohol trip in the time of COVID?
All right, Senator Amy, with your permission, I'd like to call Senator Binay. Go
Yes,
ahead.
yes.
And then
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, go
Hindi,
ahead.
pasensya ng Secretary Berna, but I saw the pictures.
Yes, you saw.
I mean, there were violations that you were not wearing masks. There was no social distancing. And in fact, I also don't agree dun sa pinupush ng DOT na we will allow children to travel but we don't allow them to go to school. Diba? So parang, and then I saw pictures pa of yung Lobok Choir, which are kids, performing in front of sila Scarlett's Nobel when those kids cannot even go to school, but they can, but they can perform in front of tourists. So parang yung sense of priority natin nawawala. And I think ang isang issue ko pa kasi is every time na you open a certain destination, ang nangyayari po kasi, Mr. Chairman, sumusunod, nagkakaroon ng surge dun sa tourist destination eh. For example, I think Ilocos, when they opened it up, hindi ata Norte, Sur ata yun. When they opened it up, a few weeks after tumaas, I mean, nagkaroon na naman sila ng problema with COVID. So baka nga, we need to spend a lot on how we will open it right in the new normal before we start promoting it. I think yun yung isang point na gustong i-emphasize din ni Senator Amy in this discussion.
Yeah, perhaps, for example, spend a little bit on vaccination as suggested by the Secretary in several press releases on tourism workers first before we embark on all these branding gimmicks. I think
and Amy, siguro just to add, aside from vaccination, kasi nga 'di ba with this new variant, parang nagkaroon na rin ng we need parang more extra protocols. For example, yung baka dapat meron silang access to free COVID testing, 'di ba? Regularly may assistance si DOT dun sa mga health workers natin. And then assuming na may mag-positive dun sa mga tourism workers natin, baka maganda din may assistance na pwedeng ibigay si DOT for them to volunteer and quarantine themselves. Kasi nga ang nangyayari ngayon, ayaw nila magpa-test kasi nga hindi sila makakapagtrabaho, 'di ba? So hindi natin na isolate ka agad yung problema. So baka isa yon din sa dapat pag-aralan on how to open it right. So we can sustain it kasi nga ang nangyayari ngayon parang hindi siya sustainable eh. 'Di ba? Gagastos tayo sa promotion tapos magsasara din lang pala kasi tumaas na naman ulit yung COVID. So it nagiging vicious cycle yung close open. Yun lang po, Mr. Chairman.
A comment. Thank you, Secretary Binay. All your points are well taken, but I think the point is the Secretary and the Department of Tourism must lead. Cannot be helter-skelter. And I'm not saying it's helter-skelter. We all want to travel. We all want our people to travel. But if I remember correctly, last year I said, for example, places like Boracay, you should have the load-bearing safe capacity para hindi magsisurge yung sinasabi ni Secretary Binay. This is the age of computer technology. And before anybody can travel, you will say, all right, on this 3 days, the load-bearing capability of Boracay has been reached, so you will not accept tourists until the next round. I think that can be done. And I think the suggestions to regularly test our healthcare our workers in, for example, Boracay or Siargao or certain areas should be done once every 2 weeks. After all, the business wants to open. They should be able to take care of these requirements. And, I've always known under Bayanihan 1 that testing is to be covered by the government. That's why unfair yung mga suggestions na naniningil kami sa Red Cross because yung tinetest namin galing sa gobyerno eh. Hindi naman kami unless nag-aapura. Marami sa tourism department kuminsan nagpapadala sa amin, sisingit doon sa linya. So there will be a cost to it and they will have to pay for it. So what do you think of that suggestion that you should have every week? This is the load-bearing capacity, and there should be testing, and that they parang nagche-check-in sila instead of a hotel. Hotel Boracay becomes the whole island of Boracay, and then they are followed through. They're traced to the hotels that they have, and you can more or less control what is happening there at. And you can do this in certain areas, like Siargao. You can do this in Subic. You can do this in stuff like that, so that to a certain extent, you should be able to show family, because people are already running amok in their homes. Hindi na sila makalabas. So siguro there should be certain family destinations that are not open to the general public, that they can bring their families. For example, in Subic or in Clark or whatever it is, in certain areas where kung nakakapag Asian Games tayo sa isang lugar na malalockdown sila na properly, na they're in what you call ang tawag doon, a balloon or something like, what is the term for it, Amy?
Bubble.
A bubble, that's right. Mahina ang English ko eh. Yung bubble, pwede sigurong gawin yon. I'm just making a suggestion, Secretary Berna, and I'd like to ask kaya ba ninyo yun? Hindi naman kailangan magkaroon tayo ng mga show para magdagsa. Unti-untiin natin. Kaya nga sabi ko, sa probinsya, pwede magsabi, okay, pagpasok doon, walang walk-in. I'm sorry, but the 200 limit has already been attained. Papadala nyo ngayon yan doon sa lahat ng gusto mag-travel, nagre-reserve. Pwedeng gawin yan. Pagtsatsagaan lang. Meron kami sa Red Cross nung magpapatest. Tatawag lang sa 1158. May schedule namin yan. So yun lang ang suggestion namin dito. If you will, Madam Secretary.
Okay, thank you for all your suggestions. With regard to testing, we're already, the carrying capacity is of course okay. Prior to the vaccination, we actually downloaded 10 million to the province of Aklan so that they could test their workers. But right now, what we're doing now is we're focusing on vaccination. If we could put on, flash on the slides of the vaccination of our active tourism workers. In NCR alone, we've already vaccinated 99% of all those working in all the hotels and 95% of the DOT accredited restaurants. For the whole Philippines, we've already vaccinated 51.52%, and we are already given an allocation by the national government for our active tourism workers. So this goes for all the tourism destinations.
Pa-follow up lang yung kay Chairman Gordon, please. Yung carrying capacity ng Boracay, ano po yun sa sitwasyon
The
ngayon?
carrying capacity is actually 19,000, but not too many people are coming to Boracay right now. So
not
the
in
carrying
any
capacity
danger
is
of being
19,000. No, not at all.
So 19,000 is the established limit po?
Yes, 19,000 is the established limit.
That's where you put your little bit of advertising with a caution. You know, we're not going to go beyond this, or maybe you should limit it to 5,000 para unti-unti. Pag sinabi nyo 19,000 kagad dyan, eh siyempre, baka matakot na kagad yung mga tao. Ako, di pupunta kung 19,000. But let's say 5,000, baka pumunta na ako, di ba? And we say there, and before they leave, they should be vaccinated. And when there's doon kayo magba-vaccinate, hindi naman araw-araw, hindi naman kayo kailangan doon kayo magte-test. Pag dumating, pag alis, may test na naman sila para pagbalik. You know, the world doesn't stop because there's a pandemic. You know, it doesn't stop because in the first place, there will be an endemic after this. It will be endemic to us and we will have to live with it. And that will be the new normal. So already, there should be a team at DOTC working with everybody, including the Department of Health or including the public health schools, to find out what are the things that we can do together para we can start doing slow by slow. Forgive my wrong English, no? Dahan-dahan. Para hindi naman tayo kakikita pa rin yung mga tao, no? So, that's
Mr.
important.
Chairman?
Yes, Nancy. Senator Binay.
Yes, but just to add to that, siguro dapat kayo pa lang, Mr. Chairman, meron ng study what will be the carrying capacity with COVID. Because I'm sure hindi talaga pwede 19,000 if COVID is still there, di ba? So somebody needs to set the new standard with COVID. And kasama na din doon yung pagre-retrofit nung mga facilities. Kasi I don't think yung 100% capacity for hotels, mukhang hindi pa yan mangyayari by next year. Right? So, dapat paghandaan din natin ano na ba yung papayagan nating capacity for hotels. And meron ba silang kailangang i-retrofit dun sa facilities nila para maging COVID-proof. Safe. Di ba? Parang COVID-proof.
Yeah.
And so, dun papasok yung how we can help our investors in the domestic tourism. Di ba? Prepare themselves para maging COVID-free.
Yes, I agree po, Mr. Chairman. I made the effort of going to Boracay and was quite horrified by the situation where even 5-star, 6-star claiming hotels did not undertake any changes in their mass buffet facilities, did not undertake any effort to open up enclosed ballrooms and so on. So clearly, the IATF protocols are being ignored even in the premier destination. The other issue, since we have brought up carrying capacities, that 2 days ago, I read that the Philippines is set to host the World Travel and Tourism Council in March 2020, it having been postponed from next month. Are we conducting a run-through? Is this going to be hybrid? Are there additional branding expenses to be incurred? And what do we see as revenue coming in?
CEO Antoinette.
Good afternoon, Madam Secretary and the Honorable Senator Amy Marcos. Thank you, ma'am, for that question. We have actually conducted several preparatory meetings with the WTTC Secretariat based in London. And yes, ma'am, there will be run-through sessions that will be done.
Pero hybrid ba yan or in person?
Hybrid, ma'am.
Nakuha naman ako
Hybrid
dyan. World Summit, nakakatakot. May dadating ba dyan? Gagastos tayo. Wala naman sisipot kasi naka-red alert tayo.
Yes, ma'am. Hybrid po, ma'am, yung contemplated na mode of conducting the summit, just like the way they did it in Cancun, March of this year. So, dati po, Ma'am Amy, the summit gathers 1,500 delegates. In Cancun, it only allowed about 500 to 600 on-site delegates, which is also the same intent for the
We're
Philippines.
going to have 500, 600 delegates.
Yun ma'am yung nangyari sa Cancun nung April. Yun din po ang
Sa atin,
estimation.
kasi this is going to be March 2022. Medyo takot na naman kami dyan eh. Mamaya putok na naman yan at magkaroon ng outbreak.
At siguro
Yes,
just to
ma'am.
add, Senator Amy, dapat walang exception yan din sa quarantine procedure, di ba? Kung ano yung
Takot-takot
quarantine.
na naman yan, palibasa bisita.
Yes, ma'am. Senator Nancy, we actually presented po before the IATF the developed protocols that will be observed. At the IATF naman po approved them, having noted na, as you said, ma'am, we will observe the protocols for safety and security. Tapos yung concern ni Senator Amy, kung ganun ba talaga kalaki yan, fluid, ma'am, yung situation in terms of the actual people attending. But what Sec Berna has done is to...
Sabi nga ni Chairman Gordon, di ba, magkano ang kinikita ng tourism? O magkano rin ang kikitain nitong world travel given the amounts that we'll have to lay out and the risk that we expose ourselves and our population to?
The Investments Committee, ma'am, with USEC Verna, is working on the roadmap of the investments that we will generate from the summit. And beyond, I think, the financial computations, if USEC Berna would be able to share by now, the WTTC is also looking at this opportunity, ma'am Amy, that we will really be able to also position not just the Philippines, but the region as a whole in terms of the global context ng reopening of the tourism, of course. No? So we are duly concerned, ma'am.
Premature? Don't you think this is somewhat premature since we have not overtaken our infection numbers? Hindi ba dapat ma-vaccinate muna, ma-treat muna, ibagsak muna yung infection numbers bago tayo sumabak sa mga international summit katulad nito? Baka mapahiya pa tayo, baka magkasakit pa ang Pilipino.
Yes, ma'am. Those were the very same concerns, Senator Amy, that we took note of when we continued to meet with the WTTC Secretariat. Originally nga, ma'am, dapat October, we pushed back to December because this really shows that we continue to monitor the developments. Hindi to tayo, ma'am, susuong sa isang sitwasyon na malalagay din po tayo sa alanganin as well as yung sitwasyon po ng mga bisita nating darating, if ever. So everything is fluid, ma'am, in terms of the concrete plans. But for planning purposes, the WTTC Council has agreed to shift it to March so that at least by the time they're anticipating that our target of achieving herd immunity by the end of the year would be something that we've realized already. Kaya po pinaprioritize din ni Sec Berna with the task force na ma-vaccinate po yung frontliners natin sa tourism. So duly noted, Senator Amy.
With all due respect, I think herd immunity for the Delta variant has been raised to upwards of 90%, which is unlikely by year end. So I think the more prudent measure would be to postpone this further. I have no idea. Chairman Gordon has vast experience in this area. Perhaps you can recommend.
Senator Amy, may I intervene? May
Yes,
I
please.
just get Senator Gatchalian? He's been raising his hand. Let us give way to the twin brother of Joel Villanueva, Senator Gatchalian. Senator Gatchalian.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for finally taking notice of me.
Ako pa ang hirap awatin itong dalawang babae dito. Ako pa sisisihin mo. Go ahead. Sige.
I will veer away muna from Tilia and Scarlet Snow. Baka nakakagat na yung labi niya. No, but I want to focus on the macro situation and ask the good secretary what her forecast is this coming 2022 in terms of tourism arrivals, and tourism recovery. No, because this is also hinged on what Senator Amy pointed out earlier, the tourism campaign program. No? Because obviously the campaign program is hinged on some form of recovery. But what is the forecast of our secretary in terms of tourism recovery?
Maybe we could flash slide 16. Yan. Okay. Senator Gatchalian, we post here the DOT, we crafted the Tourism Response and Recovery Plan to mitigate the impacts of COVID-19 to the tourism industry. The plan can be summarized through 3 strategies: ensure protection of jobs and safety of tourism workers, visitors, and communities. Second is support the recovery of tourism enterprises. And third is to rebuild the confidence and grow demand in the domestic and foreign markets. The COVID-19 response and recovery measures undertaken by the department over the past year are anchored on the TRRP. The DOT will be allocating 2.5 billion to support the implementation of the TRRP. Flashed on the screen is the distribution of the proposed budget by strategic action of the TRRP. We can also post the revised NTDP forecasts on tourism. Yusek Verna. What slide is that, Yusek Edwin?
I think it's in the yung sa natin, the revised tourism development plan. We had different kinds of forecasts depending on the
Yes.
recovery.
Oh, okay. Okay, Yusek Verna.
Yeah,
If I may.
we want to see that.
Yes.
Secretary, in the revised or the reformulated National Tourism Development Plan, we identified possible scenarios moving forward in terms of tourism arrival figures. So these are largely hinged on the recovery scenarios that have been done by the UNWTO, the WTTC, IATA, and PATA. And through these forecasts, actually, they're looking at a recovery period of about 2.5 to 4 years. In the forecast, we're looking at upside and mild forecast, a medium to harsh forecast, and a downside or severe forecast. So looking at this for 2022, we're looking at about recovering about 43% of our 2019 levels. And by 2023, we're looking at about 76% of the 2019 levels. This is the mild scenario. But when it comes to the medium scenario, we're looking at about 22% of 2019 levels by 2022 and about 61% of 2019 levels by 2023. On the downside and severe levels, we're looking at about 3.2 million by 2023. And so basically that for the domestic market, we're also looking at about 61% of 2019 levels in 2022. This is the upside or mild scenario. For the harsh and medium, we're looking at 49% of 2019 levels. And for the downside or severe level, we're looking at 35% of 2019 levels. So these are all hinged on projections also by UNWTO and the other agencies and PATA.
Thank you, Yusek. Follow-up question, Mr. Chairman, if you allow, is with all these levels, the employment recovery goes without saying will be delayed. Even at their best case, it's not going to be pre-COVID levels. How are we addressing, number one, the unemployment that was created by the pandemic in the tourism sector? I saw earlier in the slide when Chairman Gordon asked, there was about 1 million tourism workers who were displaced. So how are we addressing them? And how, if this will become a prolonged situation, how are we going to address them again this coming year?
Okay. Can I give the floor to ASEC Rica? Mention the nurse framework of the national government, ASEC Rica.
Yes, thank you, Secretary. Mr. Senator, to address the need and the assistance to be extended by the Department of Tourism for our displaced tourism workers, under the nurse framework po, one of the strategic action is really to retool and provide upskilling training programs to the various workers in the different industries. And for the tourism po, so far as of August 30, the DOT has already conducted about 400 trainings on various topics for workers in the whole tourism value chain. Yun po mga nagtatrabaho sa hotel, mga tour guides natin, even our community tour guides, our mga drivers natin in the destinations, kasi we know, or even the boatmen, kasi we know that at this point in time, wala po talagang turista pa gaanong dumadating. So we are fully conducting our trainings through the regional offices for our tourism workers. Aside from that, another strategic action in the nurse po, the National Employment Recovery Strategy, which is actually led by DTI and DOLE, is the conduct of job fairs. So DOT also has partnered with the BPO sector, the Association of the BPOs. So last year we had a partnership with Concentrix, and then this year we also had partnerships with Manulife, Alcorica, and some other BPO members of the IBPAP in the conduct of virtual job fairs. So tuloy-tuloy po yon, and we work closely with the industry associations in the conduct of this virtual job fairs po.
Sir, do we have a tracking system? Because, of course, all of this upskilling, reskilling, it's good to hear, but we all know that tourism will be in the doldrums for the next few years. No? So no matter what retooling, reskilling, they will not get employed, no? Because walang turista, as basic as that. So in the meantime, what are you doing to help them? Because I'm looking at your budget, and this type of assistance to tourism workers are not, it's not in your budget. No? So, and that's why I asked for the forecast, no? Because in the most likely case, I think we'll be hitting 50% of, less than 50% of pre-pandemic level. So how are we addressing them if the budget is not here in your budget?
Senator Gatchalian, with Bayanihan 2, we were given 3.1 billion pesos for financial assistance. So we were able to give, but only 614,723 people for the Cash for Work program. We also have under SB Core, the Cares for Travel program, which is a zero interest, no collateral loans up to 4 years and a corresponding 2-year grace period for working capital loans. Then the 1 billion was allotted for trip roads, which is under the DPWH. We are, of course, focusing on domestic tourism because out of the 12.8 million contribution of tourism to the GDP, 10.8 was for domestic tourism. And of course, we are really still, we're focusing, of course, number one, health and safety. And only the LGUs that are under MGCQ or GCQ are allowed to reopen. But of course, the LGU has to agree to reopen. That's what we're doing. Yes.
I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman, with the permission of Senator Sherwin.
Go ahead, Senator Binay.
Tatanong ko lang kung ilan yung takers dun sa SB Corp na Cares for Travel program.
Yusek Verna.
As of September 17, Madam Senator, we've had about 495 applications that have been approved and about 224.721548 million that have been approved in terms of amount, and about 425 that have been released. For
How much is that out of the total window?
193 million is the total released amount.
How much? Sorry po. Sorry.
193 million is the released amount.
So magkano pa yung natitira?
7 billion yung total.
6 billion.
6 billion.
So wala pang, may 1% na ba yun?
Sorry.
Yeah, so magkano pa yung natitira dun sa 6 billion?
5.7.
medyo madakot
Marami
ako.
pa, yes.
So, ang laki pa. So, walang takers dun sa program.
At the start, Senator, at the start, of course, they were hesitant to borrow. 1 year lang yung grace period. But then, ang ginawa ng SB Corps, kasi they were hesitant na humiram sila ngayon, baka in 1 year, hindi sila makabayad. So, SB Corps extended the grace period to 2 years. That's what's happening now. We're hoping that with the grace period of 2 years, more people will borrow.
Hindi ba may 10 billion rin na allocation to
No.
DOT kasabay dyan sa Bayanihan 2? Saan napunta yun?
Okay, the 3.1 billion went to financial assistance, 5,000 pesos each. The 1 billion went to roads, which was allocated in the with the DPWH.
1 billion went to roads?
Yes, tourism roads under the DPWH.
In what way is that emergency assistance? That's infra, di ba?
But that was allocated in Bayanihan 2. If you recall, Senator Amy, we were asking for
Yes, I recall.
Yes.
I recall because it was transferred out in the lower house from you.
Yes.
Thank you, Sen. Sherwin.
May I just ask?
Sherwin.
Chairman.
If Senator Gatchalian is finished, I'd like to go back to an overview of what is happening. You say that for the next 3 or 4 years, we're going to be in the doldrums. And that is per studies made by the UNWTO. Is that correct?
Yes, Senator.
All right. Now, having said that, are we just going to keel over and die? Now, I notice you have cash for work programs for your 5 million workers. For fire, how many people are affected? 5,700,000 workers in the tourism industry. Just workers yan, ha? Pero pa yung mga negosyante. So, ilan ang naibigay ninyo? Can you give me a specifics?
Yes, 3.1 billion was allocated to the tourism workers under Bayanihan 2.
Do you have a list of the people that have been given money?
Yes, we have a list and a total of 614,723 beneficiaries will be able to receive financial.
640,000 beneficiaries.
614,723.
That's a lot. At how much? At 5,000 each?
5,000 pesos each.
And how much is that? About 30, what's that? 30,
For 3.1 billion pesos.
3.1 billion pesos. All right. That's
This was allocated through the DOLE.
to the DOLE. May we have a list of these people that were given so that in case I'm asked, I would be able to show it?
Yes, Senator. We will be submitting to
copy
you.
of that, right?
Yes, we
And
have
what
it.
programs they were allocated in the DOLE.
Yes,
Now, it's important. Now, you said you lent money to tourism establishments, but I keep getting complaints from tourism establishments that there has been no support. Na wala namang interest na, wala, sabi nyo, may grace period pa. Walang interest. Can you give us the list of the people that you lent money to and how much and for what for?
Oh, yes. We will ask the SB Corps to furnish it to you, Senator.
Who will you ask?
SB Corps. It's because we don't have a lending institution under us. This was
That's my
placed
next
under
question.
the SB Corps. This was placed under the SB Corps, which is under the DTI.
Under the DTI. Okay. So in reality, you're converging with other organizations like DOLE and DTI to get this money of the department to be funneled through these agencies, correct?
Yes,
Obvious,
Senator.
because you don't know how to lend money. That's the business of DTI, and I hope they know how to lend money. It's just like PSDBM, they know how to buy. You know, a lot of products na mabilis, ano? Of course, through consequences. Now, we all know that the pandemic is going to be with us. I also know that it will become endemic, and I'm not going to wait for what you call a herd mentality if I were in control, because there's no more target. It's become a moving target. Some say it used to be 50%, now it's 70%, now it's 100%, from what I hear. So you now are forced to live through a new normal. Do we all agree on that?
Yes, Senator.
And in the United States and in other countries, their new normal, for an example, I'm looking at the U.S. Advisory, temporary travel restrictions. They're allowing people to watch ball games. I have a grandson studying in one of the universities there, and I see them without face mask and with other Asians, and they're watching the football game with wild abandon and enjoying themselves, all right? But on the other hand, insofar as travel restrictions are concerned, mercifully, the United States came out with a list. Anybody with the exception of U.S. citizens, legal permanent residents, and immediate family members who has been in the following countries during the past 14 days may not enter the United States at this time. So, lahat papapasukin basta huwag kang dumaan dito. Tama po ba? Tama po ba yung intindi ko? Ma'am?
Yes, Senator. Yes, Senator.
You sure, ha? So, lumalabas dyan, pag galing ka sa China, hindi ka papapasukin muna. Iran, United Kingdom, kasama yan, ha? That's a very traditional ally of America. England, Scotland, Wales, Northern Ireland, Republic of Ireland, Brazil, South Africa, European Schengen region, Austria, Belgium, Czech Republic, Denmark, Estonia, Finland, France, Germany, Greece, Hungary, Iceland, Italy, Latvia, Liechtenstein, Lithuania, Luxembourg, Malta, Monaco, Netherlands, Norway, Poland, Portugal, San Marino, Slovakia, Slovenia, Spain, Sweden, Switzerland, Vatican City included, and India. Additionally, the U.S. has reached agreements with both Canada and Mexico to temporarily limit all non-essential travel, including leisure travel across land borders. Air travel between the United States and Canada and Mexico is allowed. Air travel is allowed between the U.S. and Canada and Mexico. And therefore, it seems that they allow, provided hindi ka dumaan dito sa mga bansang ito. At kung ikaw lalakad sa Amerika, may mandatory testing requirement, may mandatory mask requirement, and may mandatory quarantine requirement. Do you know if the Philippines is doing the same thing?
In the Philippines right now, the only ones that are allowed to enter are, of course, OFs, OFWs, and balikbayans.
You know, when
yes.
Governor Gwen of Cebu said nahihirapan sila doon sa quarantine, na pwedeng papasukin na sila sa Cebu at bahala kami na mag-aasikaso, sinandalan ko yan. I said, I think we should start living with the new normal. And that's why I'm suggesting ways and means in this God's Tourism Department of the Philippines. Have you ever convoked the whole department, including the regional directors, to submit to you possibilities on how they can open up certain destinations in the various regions of the country, giving travel standards for domestics, and maybe not for foreigners right away, but at least for domestics, they can introduce travel standards and certainly limit, load-bearing capacity of the destinations. Have you ever done that?
Yes, the Department of Tourism actually back May already asked the IATF regarding shorter quarantine from those coming from the green list and those fully vaccinated travel bubbles. We've already brought it up to the IATF last May.
And what do they say?
Well, the health experts now, because of the Delta variant, nagbago. Before, they were agreeable to shortening for fully vaccinated. But now with the Delta variant, in the IATF, we always just listen to the health experts, and they are hesitant because of the Delta variant.
Secretary Verna, I said we should get in touch with public health authorities from the university and from other places, or even from international consultancies, if you will. Because I think that properly handled and proper rules can be undertaken and properly handled, you can actually have a living. A living. For example, if they say we will only allow 1,000 in Boracay per day, and the list will go long, a lot of people will travel. And of course, if they can afford it, they can make the adjustments. You can identify certain establishments that after a week of travel, then they stop, then another week later on, and maybe they don't even have to stop. Then they can disinfect and make sure that everything is going on. Somebody has got to do something.
Senator Gordon.
I'm not yet finished.
I'm so sorry.
And introduce a new normal, so to speak. Because whether we like it or not, we either stop everything and close the Department of Tourism for a while, because anyway, there's nothing to do and nobody's doing anything about it, or we start taking calculated risks and go step by step in a slow but sure manner. And that is what I'm saying here. We cannot just live and say, wala tayong magagawa, talagang ganyan. Hindi pwede yan. kailangan tayo nagsisimula na magkaroon tayo ng mga programs na makakapunta. Certainly, pag sinabi mo, pwede kang pumunta sa Subic, kung 1,000 lang kayo papayag, marami nang papayag. Baka payagan pa pati mga pamilya in certain areas in Subic, or that it's only reserved for families. Eh, hindi naman pwedeng one size fits all. Hindi naman pwedeng isang department lang ang magsasabi hindi pwede. Certainly, ayoko ng mga close gatherings katulad doon sinasabi ni Senator Amy na magkakaroon kayo ng concert na walang mask, dikit-dikit, kahit ano sabihin nyo. Certainly, I'm not going to encourage panagbenga. Although America even has football games now, basketball games, even tennis matches in New York, and yet their levels are high in terms of COVID. So hindi naman pwedeng ilang tao lang ang magdidikta sa kabuhayan, and provided we tell the public, your life depends on you, and the life of your family and the life of your community depends on you, and perhaps if we learn to give them the right information, they might be able to do that. What do you think of that?
Yes, of course, we agree with you, Senator, that we should live with the virus. That's why we are actively, again, first vaccinating all our tourism workers. With regard to Boracay, let me flash on the screen.
I'm
from
not just talking about
September-
Boracay, Miss.
Yes, no, because
Pia.
we were talking about carrying capacity.
Yeah.
Right now, the tourist arrivals are really will never go over the carrying capacity. From September 8 to 22, there were only 2,697 tourists
Fine.
that went to Boracay.
Fine. That's
Yes.
fine. That's a good
Yes.
start.
Yes. And then,
If you say 2,000 lang, then 2,000 lang.
yes.
The following hotels will be open. There's quarantine, hindi na kayo lalabas. Ito lang yung kanilang area ng beach. Punta kayo dyan kung gusto niyo. But take care of yourself.
Yes.
Then
Yes.
we will have restrictions in terms of testing before you leave. And you can go by land travel. There is the nautical highway already. And let's say we go to Ilocos Norte. Nakita ko nga sa I hate to say this, but there was a couple of domestic tourists, very prominent people, namatay pa isa, nagko-cocaine. Biro mo, namatay pa isa, nasa headline, nakakalungkot. But kala ko ba hindi pwede yung mga ganyan na nakakabiyahe? Pabiyahihin nyo, pero dapat nababantayan natin kung anong ginagawa nila. In certain hotels, dapat malinaw. I mean, we cannot just stay and stop na lang tayo, wala na tayong gagawin. Di ba? Wala na mangyayari sa bansa natin. So at a certain point in time, for example, I was talking to some sports people yesterday, magbubukas na UAAP sa February. Magbubukas yan. Dapat talaga meron ka mga mask at kung bubble ka katulad doon sa ibang bansa na layo-layo ng konti, pwede. Pero kung kaya na, kung meron silang sinasabi na nabakunahan sila, may certificate sila, then fine. Gawin natin. Pero we cannot live forever under a regime where thou shall not move because our people will go hungry. Ano sinasabi ko? Now, I'm just citing this para maintindihan natin na hindi naman forever ganyan tayo mangyayari, no? In the first place, may I suggest, that's why I said, I wanted the regional development, regional tourism folks to answer these questions. Can you not talk to establishments in your area? Sino ang bubuksan ninyo? Ilan ang papapasukin dyan? Sunod doon sa kabila, ilan ang bubuksan nyo? Sino papapasukin nyo dyan? Kailangan gawin nyo ang trabaho ninyo para malaman. At kung papayag sila, then meron tayong protocols na sasabihin in this province, halimbawa San Benito, tumatanggap kami, usually 200 or 100, I don't know, I've been to San Benito, I never had a massage there, I just saw it, but you can have maybe 20, then may kikitain yung mga nagmamasahe doon. May kikitain yung mga tao doon, yung mga kusinero doon, konti-konti. But eventually, you don't wait until you get everything done. You have to start making arrangements. Am I talking your language, ma'am?
Yes, Senator.
Well, I'd like to see you more aggressively pursuing that, and I can lend my voice. It's a very weak voice now, considering that the president hates this representation, and that's okay. But I will speak out because we cannot forever put our people prostrate before this situation. You're doing something, nagbibigay ka. Kung sabihin ko, sayang lang ibibigay mo. Dahil sabi ng gobyerno, magkakaroon rin tayo ng mga sakit sa mga yan. Tinatabo lang natin ang pera. Pero kung unti-unti, nagbubukas tayo and going to a new normal, we will be able to do it. Now, I'm going to ask you about training. How many guides have you trained since the pandemic started?
Okay,
You
ask
say
Secret-
Japan is one of our best tourism travelers to the country. You know, the Japanese are always worried about the people who cannot speak their language. They're very insular. But, you know, if you start saying, hey, we have trained these people, not only in Japanese language and culture, you invest in that. By the time we get back to the tourism galore, you will have a lot of people who will want to come here from Japan because they will speak the language. Would that be correct? I'm just using that as an example. Huh? One example lang yan. Including the banqueros, including those who will guide the scuba divers, including those who will go watch the whale. These are outdoor areas where if you have a guide that can speak, perhaps they would even come and go to Donsol and take a look at the whale sharks. Don't you agree? Domestic yan, ha? Huwag na muna ang Japan. Lagyan na natin, pati domestic. Or you can sponsor groups to go into certain areas, outdoor, provided that there are standards to be set. I know it's hard, but that's where progress starts, by being entrepreneurial and making sure hard becomes softer every day. Those are the things we'd like to hear from the department. Hindi yung, ay, baksak ang tourism. O, baksak na nga. O, ano gagawin natin para umangat tayo? The Americans are doing something about it. Other countries are doing something about it. You have in your training program 154 million. By the way, in DFA, I'm one hawk insofar as training people who can speak Chinese, speak Islam or Arabic, rather, I'm sorry, Arabic, so that we know what they're saying. We know how to read their newspaper. You can do the same thing. You can train Arabic speakers. You can train Chinese speakers, Japanese speakers, French speakers to make us more friendly, German speakers. And if you advertise that, you can say special program for German tourists in a particular area in our country. You know, choose where you want to go, and we will have a personal tourist guide that can speak German to accompany you where to go, and he must be skilled in that. I did that in Intramuros and teaching. We taught the cocheros how to tell them what are the sites. Di ba? In here, we do that. That's why we send food to the people. Yung mga cocheros dyan, dahil nagugutom na rin yung mga yan. But, you know, they knew how to bring domestic and foreign tourists around Intramuros. What I'm saying is you have to start somewhere. And better now, because pag hindi na naman natin ginawa yan, pag nagbukas na ang tourism, huli na naman tayo. Ilan na ba ang na-training nyo? Di sa budget nyo na 154 million na dapat magte-train kayo ng mga tao para sa new skills. Or for that matter, food. You know, ang dami-dami mga food one yan na magagawa even now.
Yes.
May I know what you've done with the money?
Yes, Senator Gordon, ASEC Rica here.
Yes, thank you, Secretary. Mr. Senator, for tour guides po, you are correct. We are really aggressively providing trainings for our tour guides, and as of yun na nga po, August 30, we've delivered or we've trained more than 2,000 tour guides around the country, and this actually involves even the local guides or community guides po in sa mga caves, sa mga mountain guides natin. And actually, at this moment, the DOT is a recipient of a language training program for Chinese speaking, and it is this was worked out by our attaché in China, and this is in partnership with the ASEAN China Tourism Center.
Rica, excuse me.
Yes, sir.
Bakit hindi Korean? Number 1 yan eh.
Sir, we're also together po with the Office of Product and Market Development.
Don't give me terms.
Yes po.
How many Korean-speaking guys have you trained? Right now, tell me, how many?
Sir, to be honest, we have none for Korean-speaking guides because
this is your number 1 tourist arrivals, and you're not teaching them. You're teaching your Chinese. Why the preference for Chinese? Ang dala niyang pembrere. Pupunta dito yan, magninegosyo. Ang kailangan ninyo, yung pupunta rito na maintindihan, kailangan nyo, yung mga kababayan natin, kahit na wala pang language, maturuan sila, ito ang Calyao Cave. Alright? At yung mga, alam mo, meron pa akong tatanungin sa inyo. Totoo ba yung bat cave na dinevelop nyo? Lumabas kanina yan, sinabi ng isang congressman, may Batman ba rito? We have a bat destination in Subic, which we protect. We don't have to put up a bat cave. Can somebody answer that? Did the Department of Tourism spend money on a bat cave in Davao del Sur?
No, we didn't. Bat cave? RD
Yung-
Tanya?
Ito yung,
Walang bat cave.
I will show you the newspaper.
RD Tanya?
May I speak?
Yes, RD Tanya.
Yeah, we have a bat cave in Samal, but as to a budget put for the development of that for this year and last year, we do not have.
Saan ang galing yung pera yun?
30 million was given for the development of the bat cave alleged in the news article.
It did not come from the Department of Tourism.
And so when I say on that, who's doing
That's
that?
probably under the LGU.
No, it comes from the national budget.
RD Tanya?
Even if highway is built, 30 million to develop a bat cave, according to Congressman Carlos Zarate in Davao del Sur.
But it did not come from the Department of Tourism. We will check
I know,
where it
but
came from.
I'm just saying, just showing kung nakaka-spend sila doon, anong pinaghahandaan nila? Darating ba maraming Batman dito? Kaya sinasabi ko, maghanda tayo properly. Halimbawa, weddings. One has the practically a franchise of Japanese weddings. The Marianas have that. Diba? World of weddings, I used to say. You know, I'm looking at a raft here. I think this is somewhere in Surigao or maybe in Bohol. You know, and they have weddings on board a raft or on a beach. Those are the things, the new destinations that I'd like the Department of Tourism to put their mental prowess in these destinations. Those are the things that I can defend on the floor of the Senate. Right now, going back to Rica, sino nagtuturo ng Chinese?
Sir, if I may.
I already asked you. You don't have to
Yes.
ask if I may, and don't give me those goo-goo eyes.
Sorry
Don't
po.
be offended.
Sir, the training is in partnership. It's actually offered po by the ASEAN Tourism Center, ASEAN China Center. So it's in partnership with them, and it's a 1-week program, and really Chinese teachers po, and it's via online ang
Chinese in 1
training.
week?
Chinese, sir?
1 week? Chinese course?
Yes po, because it involves also yung learning about Chinese culture, and really we're speaking the
You mean they're
basic
teaching
language
Chinese
po.
culture, not Chinese.
Apo.
Ni hao ma. Xiao che piao liang.
Xie.
Kwai kwai.
Xie po. Yes, sir. So Chinese po
What I just said,
talaga.
what did I say?
Sorry, sir. I have yet to learn Chinese language, sir.
Well,
I
you
have
know,
to
you
attend.
can pick up, you know. There's Hokkien, and when I was a tourism secretary, I wanted the Mandarin speaking in Beijing to come to the Philippines. Nag-away pa kayo ng National Tourism Organization. Tinaasan ako ng paa doon sa lamesa niya. Ginawa ko, tinaas ko rin yung paa niya. Tinaas ko rin yung paa ko doon sa lamesa niya. Tinignan niya ako. Do not be obtuse. Sabi ko sa kanya. And this is the truth. So, you know, yan ang gusto ko malaman. What else are you teaching? Are you teaching, there is Alliance Française. Okay? You can have maybe 10 who can later on do conversational French or conversational German. Right? I mean, these are high-spending, high-value tourists. But again, that's down the stream. But right now, nasa upstream pa tayo. Mag-aral na sila ngayon para pagdating ng oras, meron tayong masasabi sa ating tourism advertising. Di ba? We have German-speaking tourists to accommodate you. And then the nurses in Germany can say, oh, may mga German ko, ikakabit ko lang ikaw doon sa German speaking na guide. Germans love to come here. The Swiss love to come here. They speak French and German. Right?
Mm.
Right?
Yes, Yusek
Yes, sir.
Verna, we could
Sa-
mention the German, the French, and the Russian online training courses.
Yes, thank you, Madam Secretary. Mr. Senator, the DOT actually has also conducted the language training courses for German-speaking guides, for French, for Russia, and also for Thailand. So these
How
are
many do
also
we
in the
have?
pipeline. Yes,
It's
we do.
useless if we do not inform them. It's useless if we do not inform them. I would even have an arrangement with Secretary Locsin, if they have a Russian desk, that these people read Russian for the Russian desk, so they can interpret. That's practice, right? I would even put your Chinese speaking to read Chinese newspapers in the Chinese desk or the Japanese desk. Hindi ba? Practice yon. Because if you don't use it, you lose it.
Chairman
So at least
Gordon?
mapapractice sila. Correct?
Chairman Gordon?
Yes.
Yes,
So there's that.
nabanggit kasi natin yung iba't ibang ahensya na pwedeng mag-converge. There's a very large program for convergence of the DOT. Mabalik lang sa budget, yung 0.756 billion, out of which only 16.804 billion is clearly delineated with projects listed by the Public Works. However, the tourism development programs, the remainder of 6 billion is not clearly listed. Baka doon naman pwede yung mga language training na binabanggit ng aming chairman sa TESDA, DepEd, CHED, DOLE, DFA. Lahat yan pwedeng magtulong-tulong dyan. What are these 6 billion other projects? Kasi wala namang breakdown, hindi katulad ng Public Works. Yung sa convergence po ninyo, yung 22 plus billion. Can anyone enlighten us as regards to concrete programs? Baka naman pwede din yung language and other
Ayan. Program, convergence, budgeting. Yan ang tinatanong ni Senator Marcos.
Yes, thank you very much. That's the 22.756 billion listed in your program convergence of the DOT. Only 16 billion is actually delineated by Public Works, whereas the remainder, the 6 billion balance is uncertain. It's unclear. All it says is tourism development.
ASEC Mila.
You know, that's why I asked individually kasi yun yung mga regional directors, no?
Oo.
Hopefully, they would answer right away. Ito ang mga tinuturuan namin. Ito ang dinidevelop namin sa inyong lugar. Dito sa Kalinga, gustong-gusto ng mga European siyang Kalinga at saka yung
That's right.
you can even have the Japanese go in there, do sa Kiangan where Yamashita surrendered.
That's right.
Di ba, boss?
Maybe.
Mga boss?
Doon sa convergence ninyo, maybe I'll just ask na lang a list and a breakdown as to how this fund is to be utilized outside of the public works projects. And as Chairman Gordon stated, the provinces, cities, or municipalities that will benefit from the 6 billion already indicated in your budget. And all the RDs, as you said, are present and they can perhaps provide that listing.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Can they please confirm first kung meron, kasi parang hindi sigurado sila na may 22 billion na convergence eh.
Yes. We don't. It's all in convergence. It's not under our DOT budget. The only one we are aware of is the TRIPC with the DPWH. ASEC nila, ano ba yung sa convergence?
Pero Secretary, the mere fact it's convergence, di ba dapat alam din niyo yun? Kasi
Minsan
you're part of the convergence.
Correct nga Senator Nancy, yes.
Ang title kasi Program Convergence of DOT. Yun ang
And by the way, ma'am, if I may, those were documents you submitted to us. We do read your documents. And
ASEC nila.
If I may be forgiven, I don't really want to go into numbers because I could get you with just the numbers. I just want to see the essence of tourism discussed here para we know what to do. Because if you have the numbers, and wala naman kayong gagawin, masasayang talaga yung pera. Pero kung meron kayong direksyon, magagawa yan. Yun naman sinasuggest ko. Kayo naman, mas magaling sa akin dyan. Hindi naman ako nagmamagaling dyan eh. Ang tinatanong ko lang sa inyo, kung pwede niyong gawin, habang wala pang turista, gamitin natin ang domestic tourism. Hindi dapat natin bibitawan niya kahit na kailan. Hindi kailangan pumunta ka sa fiesta, mag-advertise kayo. Nung araw, ginawa namin yan, may mga packages o mga regional director from Laguna, halimbawa. Meron kaming punta kayo sa Pakil at saka sa Paite. Tignan nyo yung mga lumang simbahan. Tignan nyo yung mga poste na nilagay ng mga Pilipino na pinapagalitan ng mga praile. At tignan nyo yung mga beam. At nakabatawa kayo dahil ginawa nilang buhaya. Hindi nakita ng mga praile yung ginagawang buhaya na nandun sa poste para patunay ng mga buhaya yung mga konkistador na napunta sa Pilipinas. Mga kwentong ganon, hindi kwentong kutsero yan. At may kukwento kayo, yung mga punta kayo sa Laguna for 1,000 pesos. May pagkain ka na, pupunta ka doon, papakita sa yun, at least may gagasusin ka. By the way, if I may, whatever happened to holiday economics? Whatever happened to that? Na kung may 3-day holiday, pwede kayong pumunta, magbiyahe kayo by car, isang pamilya kayo, you go to a particular beach, you spend money, di ba? Kahit na paano? And taking all the precautions. Pinipilit nyo ba yan? Pinupupok nyo ba yan? Even kung may normal na o wala. Pero ngayon, tignan nyo, double 10 sa China in October. Nag-o-order na kami nung kakailanganin namin doon sa mga test kits namin sa China. Because magsasara sila dahil lahat nagbiyahe doon. Yung sinasabi ko, mga ganyan, dapat you have to look forward and take a look at what's happening.
Pasensya na lang Chairman Gordon.
Yes,
Obligado
please.
tayo magtanong tungkol sa COA.
Go ahead.
Findings rin kasi sa audit that almost $500 million has remained unliquidated from sums given by the DOT to government agencies, LGUs, ROs, NGOs, and some of them have been unliquidated for 1 year to over 5 years due to what COA calls the laxity of management in enforcing liquidation. Why has there been no effort to liquidate these utilized funds? Or perhaps unutilized, we have no idea. What has the DOT done to push for the liquidation of these funds? Pasensya kasi naghahanap talaga tayo ng pera para sa COVID. $500 million to, it's 483,785 million.
Yusek Edwin, because for 2020, the DOT received the highest audit rating from the COA for 2020. ASEC Mila, I'm not sure what this COA audit is because we received the highest audit rating from COA 2020.
ASEC Mila, can you we prepared a PowerPoint on this?
Qualified audit report. And as of December 21, 2020, ito eh. So it should be the last COA. I think you also submitted this document.
Para isang question na lang, papakita ko sa inyo ito. Talagay dito, of the total allotments budget of 2.2 billion, pakita nyo, about 89.57% or 1.97 billion was obligated. So I don't want to go to numbers. Mahirapan kayo. Of the obligated amount, only 54.33% or 1.07 billion was actually utilized and disbursed, including branding campaigns.
Ayun na.
It constrained COA to comment on DOT's operational efficiency. The COA report also says COA recommended and DOT management agreed to properly come up with realistic work plan in order to maximize utilization of allotments and cash allocation. What is the current status of these work plans to increase DOT's operational efficiency to convince this committee that the cash requested by DOT will actually be used thereby for its projects? See, kayo nang bigay sa amin yan.
And if I may, Mr. Chairman, para isang sala na lang, is it true that 26% of the 17.577 million in the total cash allocations was actually reverted to the Treasury due to a project that was never implemented in Intramuros? Lahat tayo umaangal na walang pera, gusto namin na madagdagan ng pera para sa tourism industry, ngunit tagsosoli pa kayo ng pera sa ating treasury.
Okay, Admin Villar, with regard to Intramuros.
Secretary, I'm not aware of any fund that was reverted or given to us in that amount.
No, but the other points that were raised.
Asik Howie, regarding the branding campaign.
Yes, regarding the branding campaign, while we obligated a certain amount already to procure for agencies, it's unutilized because in order for us to utilize and to pay our agencies, we have to launch it. But currently, with the off and on local travel restrictions, we were not able to launch it earlier this year. So this year, with more destinations reopening, we hope to sustain the implementation of all our branding projects, thus increasing our utilization rate.
I did not understand a word that you said. Kindly speak in
Sorry, Mr.
Tagalog.
Senator.
Ang English ko, pasensya ka na.
Hindi po
Ano
namin
hindi nyo nagastos?
Senator, hindi po
You're not
namin
talking bureaucratis. Magiging bureaucratis yun. Go ahead.
Yes. Senator, hindi po namin ma-considered utilized ang budget because hindi pa po na-implement yung mga marketing tactics namin because closed pa po yung mga maraming destinations early this year.
Don't ask for those. Ask for something that can be done.
Okay.
Put in for the tourism industry build up.
Yeah, Asik Mila.
Opening.
Yes
Diba?
po, Secretary. Yes,
Yes.
po. Mhm.
Oo, Asik Mila.
Yes po. Senator,
Who's
may
speaking?
I address?
Asik
Yes.
Mila Grosay.
Yes, Mila.
Yes po. May I address po yung...
Mila, I lost you.
Yes po. Naririnig na po ako.
Yes, I can hear you, Mila.
Yes po. First po, yung mga unliquidated po kasi these are due from LGUs and then we are continuing to request them to submit liquidation reports to our offices. Nag-send na po kami ng demand letters. We continue to exert our efforts to demand for the immediate liquidation of fund transfer.
Can you give us an example of what that is?
For example po, in 13, for example, 13% or 56.559 million of the 426 million pertains to due from GOCC's account of DOT Central Office. And then po, some
projects?
are
What are those real projects in real terms?
projects in real terms.
Halimbawa,
Sige po, in-open ko lang po yung file. Marami po kasi ito,
with more reason then.
yes po.
Kasi sinasabi rin ng COA na tuloy-tuloy ang pagbigay ninyo ng pera kahit hindi pa naliliquidate yung dati.
Yan ba yung tinatanong?
During that, eto po yung mga BUB, Senator. Ang example po nito, yung mga BUB projects pa.
Excuse me?
Sorry, what's BUB po?
Ano yun?
Bottom-up budgeting. Yung pong mga binigay po natin sa LGUs
Local government, para may magagawa siya, para lumakas ang turismo. Yung ba sinasabi mo, Mila?
Yes po, ito yung mga BUB projects, bottom-up budgeting. Matagal na po ito, Senator.
Doesn't make it right. Ano yung mga project na yan? Gusto ko lang malaman. I have to have an idea. Because tatalangin ako niyan eh.
Sige po. Sige po, Senator. Kasi po, yung details ng projects.
Hindi, alam mo, Mila, you know me how I work. You know, di ba? We work until late at night, right? When we were there, right? And we
Yes po.
come out with the specifics. Kung wala kang specifics, you never saw us flounder when we were before the department, before the Congress. Our budgets would approve very fast because we had answers to all the questions that they asked and we could show specific instances, correct? O ito, tinatanong tayo dyan, anong specific instances? Nagbigay kayo ng pera sa local government, hindi ginastos. Sabihin nyo, itong probinsya na ito, hindi nagbibigay ng pera, binigyan namin. O di dapat habulin na yan kagad, di ba? Huwag nyo na hintayin ng COA pa maghabol sa inyo. Di ba, Mika?
Yes po, Senator.
Okay, submit to us kung ano yung mga projects na yan para may maisasagot ako pag tanongin yan this afternoon.
Malaki-laki siya, 1.5 billion, malaki-laki siya. Yung kanina, yung na-revert, yung sinasabing na-revert sa Treasury, maybe it's not directly under the DOT, but it certainly has to do with the Intramuros administration. This stated that the total cash allocation of 67.411 million, 26% was not utilized and had to be returned at the year end to the Treasury. Once again, this derives from documents from you, from COA 2020, under the DOT. Paano namin ipaglalaban ni Senator Gordon na dadagdagan ng pera ninyo samantalang nagsusoli pa kayo ng pera?
Administrator Gillier, was this before your time in
Yeah,
Intramuros?
I think so, Miss. I'll have it checked, Miss.
Yes, how many years ago? Yes. I think this
Yes,
was in
I'll
the...
have it checked.
Oo.
Yes.
Secretary,
But not-
regardless, if it keeps recurring in the COA report, that means it's remained unsettled and should really be liquidated in some form.
Yes, Senator.
Yes.
Yes, Senator. Yeah, we were having problems. A lot of these COA audits are those even years back, and were not during 2020 or 2019 or 2020, but these are years back, even before our time. But we will be working on it.
It's just a little bit of a cause for alarm, Chairman Gordon, that they're not even aware of it. Whereas cursory reading of your COA report will indicate that there are all these red flags. Thank you po.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, go ahead, please.
Hindi, pwede lang mo balikan natin yung 22 billion kasi ang the name of the program is Tourism Development Program. But DOT is not party of to the program, di ba? So how can it be a tourism development program kung yung DOT mismo is not part of the planning of this project?
Yes, Senator.
So can you explain to us the 22 billion?
Yes, that is usually submitted by other agencies, and we are just actually furnished a copy with the exception of the DPWH, where they actually ask us for submissions. The other agencies actually do not ask us. We are not aware. I'm sorry, we are not aware of the other agencies. They submit this to the DBM, and we are not aware of it.
Mr. Chairman? Mr. Chairman?
Yes,
parang may maliho dun sa budgeting process na parang yung agency whose main task is tourism is not part of the planning.
Yes,
Di ba
Senator.
parang yung ibang department mabibigyan ng pondo for tourism tapos yung sariling DOT hindi nila alam kung saan mapupunta yon.
Mr. Chairman, with the dispensation of Senator Binay, I believe that that's not entirely correct because, for example, in the choice of Trip C roads to be developed by the Public Works, it's the Regional Director of Tourism that signs off on all those lists. I submitted them repeatedly as governor, so I know of what I'm speaking.
Senator, only DPWH with regard to Trip C, we are asked for our proposals, but the others we are not.
What are the others? That's precisely what we're asking because there's a balance brought forward of 6 billion in 22.
Do we have ASEC Mila, what they submit to the DBM on tourism development?
Hindi, kasi 16 billion lang yung sa Public Works, pero yung total
that's
22,
DPWH.
diba?
Yeah.
Oo, so may differential. Saan napunta yon? Kasi sa Public Works talaga naman DOT ang lead.
Secretary, Senator, Included din po dyan yung sa Department of Agriculture.
Nga sa listahan yung Department of Agriculture dun sa 22 billion eh.
Sorry po. Ay, mali.
So meron,
Included,
meron
yes.
pang iba?
Yes po, sorry po na mali ng basa. Ang included po, Senator, ang included po dyan na yung DENR, and then yung Department of Finance, Department of Foreign Affairs,
Finance?
Department of Health, and then DICT, and then DPWH, and then DTI, and then Department of Transportation. Yun po, Senator.
Yeah, Mary,
Chairman, may kulang pa. May
Yung ba yun?
Other executive offices, tsaka budgetary support to government corporations. Yan, there.
Hindi lang natin nabayaran kasi na-implement naman siya eh.
Okay.
Admin G, we can hear you. Admin G, we can hear you.
Request na lang natin.
Admin G, we can hear you.
Don't press the button if you're not speaking, please. Yes, Senator Amy, are you satisfied with the answer?
No, I'm just perplexed. Maybe they can give us a better breakdown so we have an idea of the programs. Kasi yung hinihingi ni chairman ko na mga training, language, upskilling, product development, destination development, yun ang dapat sa tourism development. Pero yung DOF, sa palagay ko, wala namang pakialam dyan. Yung DFA, wala rin pakialam dyan. Kaya maybe you can give us the details so that we can better understand its relation, the relation of these funds and programs to tourism development.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Sen Aimee?
Nancy, go ahead.
Parang dun sa sagot nila, they can't give us the details because they were not informed about the project with the title of Tourism Development Program.
Oh, Mr. Chairman, nung secretary ka, hindi pwedeng ganito.
No, in fairness to Secretary Romulo, there's so many things that are happening right now. Naglilipatan ng pondo, hindi na mamalayan. Kaya dapat yung mga alalay nyo dyan, Secretary Romulo, alisto kayo dyan dahil talagang malulusutan kahit malulusutan. Halimbawa, with the permission of the two gentle ladies who have been asking very pointed questions, I would like to ask, may budget pa ba yung TIESA kung di personal na lamang o wala na talagang pera yung TIESA ngayon? Balita ko kinuha lahat yung 12 billion na ipon ng TIESA ng Department of Finance. Is that correct, ma'am?
Yes, walang pondo po ang TIESA. It was given to Bayanihan 1, 12 billion.
So yan ang napunta doon sa kasama sa 42 billion ba? Malamang.
We are not aware where it was put.
Well, yun ang problema. Dapat hinahanap natin kung saan napupunta dahil panay ang hugot ng pera doon sa line agencies pero hindi natin nakikita kung saan napupunta. Ngayon, ang TIESA, anong ginagawa ng TIESA? May ginagawa pa ba kayo sa Secretary Director Mark? Wala kayong tourism infrastructure pero ginagawan pa kayo ng DPWH, sila lang gumagawa, pati karsada ninyo, pati lahat. Meron ba kayo nabubuksan na possible infrastructure and enterprise zones na mangyayari dyan? Is there an answer to the question, please?
COO Mark?
Yes, Mark, go ahead. Wala na kayong pera. Mark, naka ka siguro. Baka naka-mute ka. Mark Lapid, baka naka-mute ka. Hindi kita narinig.
Yes. Sir, can you hear me po? Can you hear me
Yes, I
po?
can hear you now. I can hear you now.
Sir, as of now po, sir, suspended po lahat ng intro projects po namin because wala po talaga kami na funds na pang-support po dun sa mga projects na mga nabid na at ongoing. Saka yung mga na-approve na po ng board. That's why, sir, ngayon po, we're just asking right now is para makahingi rin po kami sana ng konting assistance po para po sa operational expense namin kasi hindi talaga abot yung budget namin by the end of the year, sir. Kasi po, we all know po, sir, we're also relying po yung budget namin sa travel tax.
So ang lumalabas, wala kayong mapaplano para pag nagbago na ang normal, nagbago na ang kuwan, wala kayong magagawa. Hindi kayo nakakapaghanda. Tama po ba yan?
Sir, we're just preparing our people po, our frontliners like the travel tax personnel po, tulad po ng mga sa new normal, sir, yung pag-approach po sa mga turista natin when they come, yung mga aalis po once na mag-open po, yun po yung tinitrain namin para sa mga travel tax namin, sir. At saka siyempre, sir, yung vaccination po na program.
Hindi, kasi dapat hindi kayo nakikialam dyan sa mga ganyan dahil dapat yung hinahanda yung sinasabi nga natin, yung improving skills, improving upscaling, yung mga naghahanda tayo na yung mga bagong tourism destinations na ma-develop o yung mga pag-training o di kaya naman yung new normal for tourism. Mayroon ba kayong hinahandang common protocols para sa ganun masasabayan kayo ng ibang mga departamento? Kano ka makakapagplano kung wala kang pondo? Ilan ba ang tauhan mo dyan sa TIESA?
Actually, sir, right now po, meron po kaming total of 2,000 employees po all over the country.
2,000 empleyado, walang ginagawa ngayon. Di makapagplano. Ganun ba yun?
Yes, sir. Actually, sir, nasa skeletal.
Yes, sir. Yes, answer mo, Mark. Walang ginagawa talaga. Ngayon, hindi naman nila kasalanan Tinanggalan ka ng pondo
Yes po.
So, walang pondo. Walang ginagawa. And that's a travesty. Who's in charge of doon sa tourism law na ginawa ko, if I'm not mistaken, nakalagay doon na kung halimbawa may mga disgrasya ang abutin ng bansa, katulad ng mga tsunami, at tulad ng mga nalindol, bibigyan natin ng ticket sa mga halimbawa, isa na yan dyan, na matutulungan natin yung mga turismo para babalik sila, meron tayong tourism promotion fund, hindi ba? Magkano yung perang natitira dyan sa tourism promotion fund? Alam ko meron kayong 500 million annually for ilang mga taon yan, di ba? At saka 70% of the 50% net income of the duty-free according to the bar in lieu of its statutory remittance to the National and Republic Act, otherwise known as the Dividends Law of 1994. Meron kayo nakukuha sa duty-free. Tama ba yan, Mr. Tourism Promotion?
May I, Sec. Berna?
Yes,
Antoinette,
yes,
sir.
COO.
Opo. Antoinette, sir, Senator Gordon. Opo. Tama po kayo, sir. We have yung special contingency fund, sir, which every year, opo. So yung SCF, sir, that you incorporated in the law, every year it is actually 10% of the overall marketing and promotions budget. So last year, sir, we had about 187 million. And tama na naman kayo, sir, ginamit natin po yon for the rescue of the stranded tourists. Nagbigay po tayo ng mga vouchers sa domestic tourists din kasi may mga stranded din po na domestic tourists. Included po dun sa report na nasubmit namin sa inyo sa Senado. Kasama din po yon yung nag-produce tayo ng mga care kits, yung mga may mga alcohol, sanitizers na pinamimigay din po dun sa mga turista na stranded at sa mga dumadating din pong pakonti-konti yung na-mention ni Sec. Berna kanina na pag dumating po sila nabibigay ng mga frontliners natin sa airport. This year, sir, we still have a balance of about 70 million sa SCF. Those that we have funded for the first 2.5 quarters of the year have gone to support yung sinasabi po ninyo kanina na assistance to the swabbing of our frontliners ng mga tourism workers also. And kasama din po yun yung assistance na binibigay natin na subsidy sa mga turista, yun pong 50% that we have as a partnership with PCMC. So, yun, sir.
Anong assistance sa mga turista? Wala na kang turista
Yung mga domestic tourists, sir, dun sa mga reopened destinations domestically, dahil part po ng requirement ay yung negative RT-PCR test.
Covered by that. The Special Contingency Fund was supposed to cover yung mga gusto natin bumalik na turista. Yung domestic, pupunta yan, kahit na may COVID, pupunta yan makikipagsapalaran sila, mag-i-enjoy sila doon dahil talaga nabuburo na sila sa bahay. Bakit nyo bibigyan ng pondo yun? May pera na yan. Ang sinasabi ko lang, pwede nyo gamitin yan para ibangon. Ayan, nakalagay, ang linaw-linaw. This shall be used in the event of emergencies, and this is such an emergency right now, so that DPB will have sufficient resources na mag-undertake ng marketing and promotional activities that will encourage sustained tourism interest in the Philippines, and that will address the adverse effects of these emergencies. Kaya nga sinasabi ko, yan yung sasabihin doon sa mga regional directors ninyo o mag-develop ka dyan na pwede nating maglagay tayo sa ating computer na within the province, pwede kayong pumunta rito. At itong magagasto nyo. Lalabas mo yan sa promotion ninyo, di ba? Ginagawa nyo ba
Yes,
yun?
sir.
Ginagawa pa yan.
Yes, sir.
Dito nyo
Yes,
lang
sir. Nagawa po natin.
Anong ginawa nyo?
Nagawa din natin.
Like what?
There were 5 projects. Sir, there were 5 projects that were initiated by our DOT regional offices along the line nga po of tourism recovery. So specific po ito, meron tayo sa Region 7, meron din po tayo sa Cordillera. Sir, ito po yung ginawa ng office ng Region 7 in terms of...
Ano nga yun? Ano yan? Region 7, are you there?
Yung rebranding nila, sir. Yung apa. Go ahead, Aisha.
Hindi naintindihan ng masa yung branding. Ang naintindihan nila, anong ginawa nyo para pumunta yung mga domestic tourism within that area doon sa lugar na yan? Anong ginawa?
Good afternoon.
Kalimar.
Senator, yes. We opened a new, what is this, online marketing of our own. We also beefed up our diving program. Yeah.
Kalimar, wali ka agad yung sagot mo eh. Forgive me Ako, sinasama ko, sa liderado ko yung tao. Kung hindi ko tuturuan yung tao kung anong gagawin, walang gagawin yan. Kung ikaw ay may hotel, may restaurant ka, ngayon, yung restaurant nung kasama ni Mrs. Batokawe, meron doon yung sa party list nila. Anong pangalan ng congressman na kasama nyo na may asawa siya na Palestinian ata or Syrian na may magandang restaurant doon ng Arabo? Kumain kami doon
Kong Garbin. Chairman si Kong Garbin.
Yun, si Congressman Gardin. Tama. Harbin. At yun, dapat yun ang pinopromote. Alam ba ninyo mga kababayan, dito sa kanyang webpage, kaya niyang gawin yun Meron kaming Arabic food dito. Ito, papakita namin sa iyo, masasarap. Ngayon, yung Regional Development Officer, ililista niya yan ngayon. Dadagdagan ngayon ng Tourism Promotion Board yan para ipakalat sa buong Pilipinas at sa buong mundo na if you're ever in Albay, you can go to this fantastic, and my God, I stuffed myself in that restaurant. Ang galing ng asawa ni Congressman Harbin. At pati nanay nandun. Yun ang sinasabi ko, maliliit na produkto na pag pinalaki nyo, dadami at dadami yan. Kumbaga nung araw, dinala namin lahat yung mga domestic destinations. Di ba, Aguilar, doon sa Wow Philippines sa Intramuros, dinadala natin yung hamon ng Zamboanga. May baker doon, ang galing-galing ng mga hamon niya. Dinadala natin yung mga lechon ng Cebu. Dinadala natin yung sa Zamboanga, yung, ano tawag doon, yung land crab. Ano tawag doon, yung... Kuracha. Nalalaman ngayon ng tao, pag pumunta ka doon, alam mo ang bibili mo. Tama ba yun? Hindi ba? Hindi naman alam ng mga tao kung saan ka bibili doon Anong pinakamagandang Kuracha restaurant doon sa Zamboanga?
Alabar.
May Alabar sauce pa yan. Pag dumarating ako dyan, pinapabahunan pa ako ng sauce, no? Yun ang sinasabi ko. Ngayon walang tourism, pwede niyang gawin yan, Secretary Romulo, na yung maliliit na bayan na ganyan, na merong magandang kwan, even within the province, yung Karatig Puok, nandun sila, magkakakilala sila. Pag nag-picnic sila, family day, magpupromote, promotion lang yan Family day, punta kayo rito. O di kikita na kagad dyan. Hindi naman ang tulong sa turismo. Bibigyan mo ng pera, yun nalugi. Hindi lang yun Dapat ibigay yung pera yun, pagbabawi na sila. Pero ngayon, kung meron silang program na ganon, o i-promote nyo kami, gagawin namin. Kaya may pakinabang si Shalimar. Di ba, Shalimar?
Yes, Senator.
Yun ang kailangan gawin mo. Alright? O halimbawa, alam naman ninyo kung anong magagandang beaches. Halimbawa, may mga nakatagong beach sa Surigao, di ba? Di ba? O kaya, saan ba nakakapunta? Anong oras dumadating ang whale shark sa Sorsogon? Anong pinakamandang araw? Bicol. Sinong Bicol? Region 5. Herbie Aguas. Sige. Anong araw? Anong buwan dumadating ang mga whale sharks sa Dorsol? Naku po, nagkaroon na tayo ng problema. Herbie.
Yes, nakamute po. Sorry. Usually po, summer siya. Summer and late this
Summer ng
October.
Amerikano o summer ng Pilipinas? Wala tayong summer dito, panay rainy season na lahat ngayon.
Usually po mga March, April, ganun po. March, April. And October din, lumalabas din po siya, yung whale shark.
That's correct, October. Dinala ko yung American Ambassador dyan. Nagpakuha kami, nung dinlagay namin dyan, lumabas yung Watch Our Whales. Wala
Yes
ka pa doon. Watch Our Whales. Ba't di mo gawin yan? September, October, maganda na kayo. April, handa na kayo. Sa Cebu, di ba may whale shark rin dyan?
Meron, Senator, sa Oslo.
Sino Cebu City? Sino?
Shalimar Tamano, Senator.
Ikaw pa rin sa Cebu? Ang laki ng hawak mo.
Central Visayas, Senator, Cebu, Bohol, Negros Oriental, and Siquijor.
Saan maraming pating? Diyan sa Cebu?
Sa Malapascua din, Senator.
Anong tawag sa pating na yun? Treasure.
Treasure
Correct?
sharks. Yeah.
Sa Bicol, ikaw, Mr. Aguas, bukod doon sa whale shark, saan marami nung mga pagi?
Sa Masbate po.
Ano sa Masbate? Tikaw Island.
Sa Tikaw Island. Maganda rin po yung nag-divers.
Nandun ka na, correct?
Yes po.
Kung tinuruan mo ba yung mga tiga-Tikaw o yung sa Sorsogon na maghapon? O mag-German o mag-French? Yan, ganun. Kinakabit nyo yung training program nyo sa destination. Ayoko magturo ng ganito eh. Dapat kayo yan eh. Yung mismo may hotel doon, ilalabas niya, tutulungan nyo doon sa promotion. Lalagay nyo sa DOT, recommended sites even during the pandemic. You can go there and the carrying capacity of the following hotels are here. Make your reservations. We will tell you when it is full. Pwede ba yun, Mr. Aguas?
Yes po.
Pwede ba yun, Mr. Hofer Tamano?
Yes, Senator, definitely.
Ilang tao dyan, initiative. Kung wala kang initiative, puro inis ang aabutin mo sa amin. May inis kami sa inyo dahil hindi kayo nagpapakita ng gilas. Nagkakaintindihan ba tayo mga kapatid? Alam nyo, paborito ko ng DOT. Kaya lang wala pa tayong nakikita na magic ng tourism. Yan ang number one. Wala tayong pabrika. Yan ang number one tourism. Gamitin natin yan. Shall I tell you more? Mr. Ortega, ano maganda bukod sa cocaine doon sa La Union?
Mr. Chair, salamat po. Actually, to share po sa private mechanism.
Can you speak a little louder and clearer, please?
Yes po.
Paano kaya San Fernando, La Union sa Ilocos Sur?
Yes, Mr. Chair. So, bali po ang ginagawa po namin right now, we have two projects. We are developing the nature trails, which is an outdoor mapping of our mountains po. We also have a product which is bike tourism, where we are also mapping out potential bike trails. And this is in line po with your suggestion, Mr. Senator, of domestic tourism.
Sandali, Jeff. Doon ba sa bike tourism nyo, you expect the tourist at this time to bring his bike all the way there?
Mr. Senator, actually, meron na pong existing market dito po sa region namin. And in fact,
existing market, ibig sabihin, nagpupunta na yung mga bikers dyan. Yan ang sinasabi mo.
Yes po. Yes po, Mr.
Halimbawa, ayoko magdala ng bike. Magpapahiram ba ang Department of Tourism ng bike doon sa mga bike trail nyo na may guide? Wala.
Mr. Senator, Mr. Senator, actually po, we are still developing.
I'm asking you a question. Pagka nililigaw mo ako, alam ko hindi ka nasasabi. Wala ba kayong bisikletang mapapahiram na galing sa sekretaryo sa Department of Tourism? Tama?
Sir, wala pa po as of the moment because
You go to New York, you can borrow a bike, go to the next destination, leave the bike there, gagawin nyo. That is where initiative comes in. And that's where you promote, you give money to somebody, pahinga mo yung bike, magpaupa siya, kikita na siya. Tama po ba yun? Kinuha ko lang yung idea nyo. Alright? Gaano kalayo ang San Juan, ang La Union? Anong pinakamalapit na bayan susunod? Within 2 hours.
San Fernando and La Union po. San Fernando and San Juan.
San Fernando ang capital. Ilocos Sur, malapit na.
Yes po, sir. Around an hour or 2 po away.
An hour and 2. Oh, go take a bike the whole day, go to Ilocos Sur and see what?
Actually, ang component po namin
sa Ilocos Sur.
Mr. Senator, vegan po. And the food that we find around the streets of vegan, Mr. Senator.
Sarap yung vegan food.
Yes po.
Hindi vegan ha? Vegan, hindi yung vegan. Right?
Po, Mr. Senator.
Di ba dapat, ito yung mga restaurant na pwede niyong puntahan. Tama?
Yes, Mr. Senator.
Meron ba kayong ganon? Wala pa po. Nung una ako nag-tourism secretary, lahat yan, hindi ako nang mamagaling sa inyo. Isang linggo namin ginagawa, yung mga little packages na pwede nyong itinda at tulungan yung mga tourist destinations para may laban. And then papapasukin ngayon ni Secretary Romulo, yung mga tao, ito ang carrying capacity nitong restaurant na ito, itong carrying capacity, make reservations, mag-invest kayo sa central reservation system na kayo lang may hawak, na lahat yan nakakabit sa inyo. Pwede pa ba kayo dyan? Pwede pa. O sige, bungo ka dyan. Pero huwag kayong lalampas. Ito ang guidelines. Pagkagalit ka sa ibang lugar na maraming COVID, huwag na kayong mag-apply. Hindi namin kayo tatanggapin. Pwede ba yun? You look like an intelligent young man, Jeff.
Yes po, Mr. Senator. We actually have that po in Region 1 po. And our dear Secretary po actually directed us to spend 70% of our budget for product development, Mr. Senator. That's why we're very happy that we developed this bike tourism. We are currently training pa lang po community tour guides. We are looking to launch this po towards the end of the year.
I don't mind you bragging. You have bragging rights. I don't mind you protecting your secretary. She doesn't need protection. We're just helping here. All I'm just suggesting is, wala pa kayo, sinabi ko sa'yo, wala kang bisikleta eh. Hindi mo sinasama yung Ilocos Sur, regional director ka eh. Kung idadalhin mo pa sa Ilocos Norte, you can go to the Dunes, you can go to Paway, you can go to Sarat, you can go to all these old churches, correct?
Yes, Mr. Senator, included po lahat po.
Within 3 hours away from each other or 4 hours away from each other, you can go from one place, using your bike, you can go. Ang sinasabi ko lang, I'm already belaboring what I've said, and I didn't want to do that, is dapat kada region, meron kayong packages. I think the secretary is smart enough, and I know she is, to start asking the different regional directors to come out with your programs that you can promote and that you can put into a central computer, not only provincial, national.
Ay, naku, meeting.
Salimar, I cannot listen to you. You want me to stop while you can talk? I think you can do that,
Mr. Senator.
Diba, Madam Secretary? I hope you don't mind. I'm not trying to put you down. I'm just trying to support you.
Yes, Senator, we can submit to you the various tourism circuits we've been doing with all the regions.
I'm sure you do. But,
Yes.
but you know, in this question and answer between senators and you, we don't want to go to the numbers. You'll get caught into difficult situations that may not have been your doing. But in this particular case, what we want to make sure is that the money that is not being spent properly will be spent for all these things. Di ba? Dapat sasabihin ni Mr. Aguas, ito ang aking best of the regions. O, ayan, nakalagay o, Region 1, Ilocos Region. Slow food. Saan ba kami kakain dyan? Sa slow food. Saan? Saan restaurants? Ha? Anong telepono? Anong email? Anong website?
We could submit it, Senator.
That is why you have to try hard.
It's actually included. No, it's actually included. We will submit it to your office, including all the restaurants to go to, all the places to go to.
All I ask is gawin nyo, pakita nyo sa buong mundo yan, sa buong Pilipinas, and I bet you pupunta ang tao. Hindi naman ako nagpapayabang sa inyo, nagpapagaling sa inyo. Ang sinasabi ko, when you come here, you have to know how to market yourselves. You know, I could ask you difficult questions and you would be embarrassed. I don't want to do that. I want you to have that enthusiasm. Uy, nasagot ko yung tanong. Uy, okay meron pala kaming ganito. Oh, wala eh. Kaya naghahanap yung mga kasama ko ng mga tanong na, ba't di nyo nagastos to? Ba't hindi mo alam? Ay, kung sabihin sa inyo yun. Alright? Any other questions from our secretary or from our senators? Or... So, in conclusion, Secretary Romulo,
Yes,
what do you want me to tell the Senate when your budget comes in? What is your game plan to get out of this pandemic or while the pandemic is going on? And what is your game plan way ahead for domestic tourism, for international tourism? That is what you give it to me. You give it to me, and I will defend your budget. I will defend your budget. I'll defend the Department of Tourism because there's nothing to offend. There's only something that we can be proud of. That's all I'm asking.
Yes, Senator.
All right? On that note, I still have another hearing for the SBMA. You know, even...
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Just for submission, Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Can they submit to the committee the 16 billion TRIPSI projects under the DPWH?
The infrastructure project, you mean?
Hindi, Mr. Chairman, kasi di ba meron yung road infrastructure program under DPWH. They can submit, kasi di ba itemized to, Secretary?
Yes, Senator. We will submit it to your office.
Okay, thank you. No, to the committee.
To the committee.
Nagkakaroon ng mga magic projects, hindi natin alam, baka yun ang lumabas din di ba? Nagko-commingle yung infrastructure development plan ng DPWH, baka nalulusutan tayo ng mga special na may mga malalakas, di ba? Ayaw naman namin mag-imbestiga pero pag lalabas sa kanya, mag-iimbestiga pa tayo. Ayaw na mag-imbestiga. Alam niyo ba, masarap? Okay? Tama yun. Napakisabit lang yun, Secretary Buyat.
Yes, Senator.
Humingi rin ako ng listahan sa iba para lang malaman natin at maipagtanggol. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, ma'am. Okay. I'd like to thank the two ladies. You keep me on my toes. You're able to see what I don't see. And I'm happy that we're all working together here. And I think my suggestion lang to the department is you talk to one another. Be a team. You know, hindi naman mahirap magawa dyan. Ang ganda-ganda yan. Masaya yung trabaho nyo dyan You should all be happy. And so, at this point,
Mr. Chairman, pwede din ako magpasalamat kay Senator Sherwin for allowing Senator Amy and me to keep asking questions.
Inayan kita para sabihin mo yan. Iniintay ko sabihin na naman ni Sherwin. Hindi mo ako pinapansin Nandiyan ka ba, Sherwin? Are you there? Senator Sherwin? Pag sinabi ko are you there?
Ito pa, Chairman, parang nag-nationwide tourism tour ako. No?
You have any more questions, Senator Sherwin?
Yes, one last question, Mr. Chairman, and this is in regards to the facilities that were affected. In my going around the country, I saw a lot of hotels, a lot of facilities closed down. For example, here in Manila, Makati, Shangri-La, in Davao, there's some. So I just want to ask the Secretary, how many hotels closed down during the time of pandemic? And I just want to get a picture of that.
Yes, Senator. Yes. The one that publicly said that...
Sherwin, that is a very good question.
Yeah.
I'm glad that you reminded us.
The one that publicly said that they were temporary closing was Marco Polo in Davao and Makati Shangri-La. In NCR, a lot of them have changed into quarantine facilities. They're open, but they have shifted to quarantine facilities. The same in Cebu.
With the permission of Senator Gatchalian.
Chairman.
So kumikita yung mga hotel. na nagsara, di ba? Kumikita pa rin sila dahil binabayaran ng gobyerno para sa mga OFW yung tumitira doon. Tama po ba yun? O kaya naman yung mga private na magpapa-quarantine, kumikita rin sila dahil binabayaran nila. Ano ba ang budget doon, ma'am? 4,000 per room? 5,000 per room?
That's with the OWA. It's not with us.
No, but I think you should care about it. Don't you think so?
No, because it's the private sector. Sometimes they charge iba-iba po eh. Kung 5-star hotel, 4-star hotel. But with regard to kung yung OWA, I'm not quite sure how much they pay for the OFWs. And then with the returning OFs, kanya-kanya po yung charge ng mga private hotels.
So, meron ring natutulong ang gobyerno dahil binabayaran natin yung mga hotel. Tama po ba yan?
Yes, sir.
Sige, tama. There are always points for the good guys. Yes, sir. Senator Sherwin, go ahead.
My point, Chairman, if these facilities, first question is kung ilan po yung nagsara. And then my second question is, are the hotels that are operating right now, are they operating as quarantine facilities? I just want to get a picture of that, no? Because I've heard that a lot of hotels, not the branded ones, no, Secretary, but the lesser known, the local brands, have shut down temporarily because of the pandemic. And my question there is, at least the quarantine facilities, they're not making money, but they can pay salaries and electricity. The quarantine facility, the quarantine stay is not, the rates are not so high. No? Sabi nga ni Chairman, 4,000, 5,000, baka less pa. So at least we have employment and we have less shutdowns, no? Because startups are very expensive. So I just want to get a picture on how many hotels have closed down other than the brand names.
All right, let me ask all the regional folks there to submit the hotels that have closed down and the hotels that are being used for quarantine. Woodrow of NCR. I'm sure you know that, right, Woodrow? A good regional director should know what his market is, should know who to protect. Woodrow, are you there?
Yes, sir. I'm here. Good afternoon. Well, in the port of NCR, sir, we're a bit lucky because as a gateway of all this returning overseas Filipinos, balikbayans and some foreigners, we have already reached 1.4 million since the lockdown, sir, that we have assisted here in that. 1.4 million passengers that passed through the NAIA. And normally
the question, Woodrow, is how many hotels, and please pay respects to Senator Gatchalian, how many, to his question anyway, how many hotels have closed down? 5-star, 4-star, 3-star, 2-star, 1-star. Alam ko, marami ring motel ginagawa, di ba? Ginagamit rin niya.
Yes, sir.
Marami rin nagko-complain sa akin mga tao, ba't naman kami din nalagay dito? Mga gano'n. Ayoko na sabihin pa yung mga sinasabi nila. Pero, at least nga, sabi ni Senator Gatchalian, sabi ko rin, may nababayad doon sa mga empleyado kahit na paano. Kahit na nag-reduce sila ng employees, meron pa rin mababayaran. At kung may utang, meron pa rin matatabing pera dahil tuloy-tuloy ang 100% occupancy yan, bagamat mababa sa mga kagaya ni Senator Gatchalian na sanay sa mga 5-star hotel. Yung mga 5,000 makakakuha. Di ba, Senator Sherwin, kaya-kaya?
Ako, 3-star, pwede na ako, Chairman, 3-star.
You might want to start with Senator Gatchalian's hotel. Bukas ba yung hotel niyo, Sherwin? Senator Sherwin?
It's still operating, Chairman, but as what Secretary mentioned, majority of our clients are the OFWs, and it became a quarantine hotel, basically.
That's correct.
Almost 70%. So the lesson there is it's not making money, definitely, because of the low rates, but at least enough to pay the salaries.
Right.
So you need money.
So Woodrow, how many hotels are there in Metro Manila? Give us that
Right now,
information. How many hotels in the different classification? How many are closed? How many are operating as quarantine centers? And please submit it right away because I'm going to have to tell them how hard a worker you are. Actually, I expected you to be able to serve. Sir, there are 400 hotels in Manila or 500 hotels with so many bed capacity, so
Yes,
many
sir.
employees. Dapat nasa tip of your fingers yan. Diba, sir?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. If I may, sir, we have around 600 hotels operating now in Metro
Yung
Manila.
around, ilan eksakto? Anybody can
It's
say around.
it's 598, sir, with 64,000 rooms operating now, mostly on quarantine facilities, Your Honor. And
64,000 rooms.
yes, Your Honor.
Here
We
you
are.
64,000 divided by
That's
60.
that's correct, sir. From ranges from motels, mabuhay accommodations, apartment hotels, to 1-star to 5-star hotels. These are all being utilized as either multiple-use hotels, quarantine hotels, and some are isolation hotels, Your Honor, being used for positive patients already here in by the communities in Metro Manila. So basically, we are trying to. That's why before, sir, during the lockdown, they closed, but we really push for them to open so that we can accommodate all these requirements for all the quarantine, isolation, and multiple uses here in Metro Manila, Your Honor.
All right.
Thank you, Woodrow.
Thank you, sir.
Chairman, my last question to the Secretary is, Secretary, we have 4.7 million workers in the tourism sector. How many have been vaccinated?
We're right now, according to the list given by the regions, we've already vaccinated the active tourism workers, kasi some are not going to work. We vaccinated 51%.
51% of what, Secretary?
Of the active tourism workers in Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao, all the regions. But when we talk of active tourism workers, the ones going to work, kasi some are not working.
And how many total workers are there?
For 2020,
5 million, 5.7 million?
Of 2019, it was 5.7 million people.
Yeah?
5.7
5.7 million people.
5.7 million, 2019.
In 2019. Yes, okay. Thank you.
Is there any initiative to vaccinate the balance of 49%?
Yes,
Well,
we are. We are currently doing it. We are currently vaccinating all our tourism workers. Yes, Senator.
What is your forecast? When do you
We hope by before Christmas, we'll be able to vaccinate all the active tourism workers, 100%.
Thank you, Secretary. And I want to commend the DOT Davao, because we have a partnership there, waterfront and the tourism sector both launched this partnership of vaccinating tourism workers. And when I visited, they told me that 90% of the tourism workers in Davao City has been vaccinated already. So that's a very good model that hopefully we can spread throughout the regions. No, a PPP, a private-public partnership. Total, wala naman talaga gumagamit doon sa mga facilities. Turn it into a vaccination center focused on tourism workers, and 90% is quite impressive. No? That's where the sabi nga ni chairman, that's where the balloon/bubble can happen, because at least yung mga hotels can accept, because they're fully vaccinated, they can accept fully vaccinated clients. So I commend the department, and especially the DOT Davao City for that initiative.
Yes.
Thank you,
Senator,
Chairman.
Senator Sherwin, thank you for lending us the Bakuna by the Sea. In fact, that because of your Bakuna by the Sea with RD Tanya, of course, Mayor Inday, that was where we patterned off all the other regions, all the other tourist destinations. That's why we also had the Bakuna by the Sea in Boracay. We've vaccinated 73%. In NCR alone, Senator Gatchalian, 99% have already been vaccinated. That's why pinayagan na ang dine-in, because all the employees in the hotels are vaccinated. So kaya pinayagan, and that's what we plan to do po. And tomorrow we're going to Cebu to vaccinate also the tourism workers there. Thank you, Senator, also for the Bakuna by the Sea. Yes.
That's a good model. It's a good private-public model. And it seems like it's effective because it's a dedicated center for tourism workers. No? So wala silang pinabakunahan kundi tourism workers. So congratulations to that.
Thank you. RD Tanya, di ba? That was, yeah. That's under RD Tanya Rabat.
Thank you po, Senator Sherwin, for the support given to all our tourism workers, to include Samal po.
Are there any more questions? Yung bang bakuna by disease, Senator Sherwin, meron bang gatsalyan lechon yun? Sama?
Walo eh, kasi high blood, Chairman. So, ano lang, sandwich lang.
Huwag mo sabihin nyo, baka hindi na bumili ng lechon na high blood. Thank you, Sherwin. Thank you, Senator Sherwin. Thank you. Padala mo na lang kay Senator Villanueva yung lechon mo. Anyway, are there any more questions from my colleagues here? Senator Nancy?
Wala na po, Mr. Chairman. Alam ko may isa pa kayong budget hearing.
Oo nga, tatlo pa nga. The chair will now entertain any motion to have the budget of tourism brought to plenary.
Mr. Chairman, may I move therefore that having heard the budget of the Department of Tourism as well as its attached agencies at the subcommittee level, that we endorse it to the mother committee pending the submission of required information and other documents, and thereafter to plenary, Mr. Chairman.
Second, Chairman, second.
Seconded by both Nancy Binay, Senator Binay, and Senator Gatchagan. I said the ladies first, all right? And having said that, the budget of the DOT is suspended in accordance with the prior to, in other words, remember that you have to submit all the documents that we asked, including the number of hotels, etc., and many more. So kindly do that, and I'd like to commend everybody. You know, I know you all are working hard, and we're trying to look very, very, correct and formal here. It's only because we want to make sure that we protect the people of this country, many of the people of this country, so that they will continue to repose confidence upon all of you folks. Thank you, Secretary Berna, and thank you all undersecretaries. I'm happy to meet all of you and the regional directors. Let's bring the wow back in tourism. All right. Thank you very much, and mabuhay kayong lahat. God bless you. This session.
Thank you very much, Senator.
Thank you.
Thank you.